Acharya was awarded gold medal and certificate from the President of Kazakhstan, H.E. Nur Sultan Nazarbayev, for the most active participation in the Secretariat. The gold medal is titled as Spiritual Light for contribution in the Secretariat of Congress of the Leaders of World and Traditional Religions in May 2017. Dr. Kala Acharya was awarded gold medal and certificate by the President of Kazakhstan, H.E. Nur Sultan Nazarbayev, for her significant contribution to the Congress of the Leaders of World and Traditional Religions and substantial contribution to the interreligious dialogue in 6th Congress of the Leaders of World and Traditional Religions held at Astana, Republic of Kazakhstan on 10th October 2018. She has received President's Award for the year 2019 by Government of India for the contribution to the field of Sanskrit language. She has received the title Mahamahopadhyaya from Kavikulaguru Kalidas Sanskrit University, also Best University Teachers Award from the state government, and the title Sanskrita Pandita from the government of Maharashtra. Dr. Kala Acharya has authored and edited several books pertaining to philosophy, culture, comparative religion, and Sanskrit language, including Raymond Panikar, His Legacy and Vision, along with Milena Carrera Pavan. Dr. Kala Acharya was invited as a speaker at Summer School on Manuscriptology, Codicology in Almaty in Kazakhstan Institute of Oriental Studies, UNESCO in August 2015. Second International Conference on Dharma Dhamma organized by Center for Study of Religion and Society in collaboration with Sanchi University of Buddhist Indic Studies, Sanchi, MP Bhopal in March 2014. Third International Dharma Dhamma Conference on Harmony of Religious Welfare of Humankind at Indore, Madhya Pradesh, organized by Center for Study of Religion and Society in collaboration with Department of Culture, Government Madhya Pradesh and Sanchi University of Buddhist Indic Studies. Sanskriti Center for Cultural Excellence, UK in July 2021. She has presented more than 50 research papers in India and in US, UK, Switzerland, Australia, Japan, Thailand, Cambodia, Taiwan, Kazakhstan, Iran, Vatican, Spain, Korea, and Italy. Dr. Kala Acharya is dedicated to the intense studies in Sanskrita and religious studies. Madam, it is our proud pleasure to have you with us as a chairperson. Ma'am, I once again welcome you. With your permission, we would like to start the session. Can we proceed, madam?
Yes, and thank you for all the nice words.
Thank you, ma'am. Our first speaker is Dr. Prasad Akolkar. I introduce Dr. Prasad Akolkar ji. Dr. Prasad Akolkar is Ayurvedacharya. He has completed his PhD from University of Mumbai. He has an experience of 25 years of Ayurveda clinical practice. He is currently working as Assistant Professor of Department of Sanskrit Samhita Siddhanta, P.R. Harane Ayurvedic Medical College, Wangani, under Maharashtra University of Health Sciences, Nashik. He is also a visiting faculty of Department of Sanskrit, University of Mumbai. He participated in workshop on Indian System of Medicine, Russia in October 2005 with practical. Also in workshops for international students on Ayurveda System of Medicine in India. Also in lecture series on Ayurveda treatment system of Panchakarma for Indian and international students and businessmen. He has also participated in consultation on manufacturing process of Ayurvedic drugs for international students and businessmen. Also in content management projects for national and international educational promotional and health and wellness portals. Today, his topic is Bhakti in Vairagya Sampradayam. I request Dr. Prasad Akolkar to proceed further. Dr. Prasad Akolkar.
Thank you, Dr. Deshpande. I will just share my presentation so that I can start. Is it visible?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for your good introduction. Respected Chair, attending delegates and friends, I welcome you all for this talk about the Bhakti in Varkari Sampradaya. Since the subject is quite vast, I would be putting it in concise form due to the time constraint. I hope I will be able to convey my thoughts properly. Varkari Sampradaya is the popular-most Bhakti Sampradaya in Maharashtra. The word Varkari means those who perform Vari, that is special pilgrimage, in this case to Pandharpur regularly as a ritual. The word Sampradaya denotes the congregation of initiated who receives proper advice from their guru as per Amar Kosha. So, Varkari Sampradaya is the Hindu religious movement formed by congregation of those who perform ritualistic pilgrimage to Pandharpur. If we ask the question, who can be Varkari, then it could be answered in following points. Varkari is the one who performs Vari to Pandharpur, wears Tulsi Mala around the neck, wears vertical tilaka of Gopi Chandana on forehead, avoids onion, garlic and meat eating, keeps no illicit relationships, recites Nama Japa and Hari Patha, performs all functions remembering the Lord Vithala, which is the worshipping deity of the Sampradaya. For Varkari, temple of Vithala or Vithoba is the place to be visited on 11th day of descending moon in the month of Ashada and Kartika. These are generally the two important days of Vari. It can also be performed on each 11th day of lunar month as well. It is essential for Varkari to perform Vari at least once a year, and Vari is considered as Sadhana in the Varkari Sampradaya. Vithala or Vithoba is the worshipping deity of Varkari Sampradaya. Vithala is considered to be Sri Krishna and Pandharpur is considered to be Dakshina Dwarka. Vithala is also considered to be the embodiment of the union of Shiva and Vishnu, Harihara Aikya. Hence, for Varkari, Shaiva and Vaishnava, both shrines and related attributes are the places of worship. In Pandharpur temple, Vithala Rukmini are not together but have special places in the same temple complex. This is the Pandharpur temple during the Vari time in the month of Ashada. Wearing the mala of 108 tulasi beads around the neck is the initiation ritual of Varkari Sampradaya. Therefore, sometimes Varkari Sampradaya is also termed as Malkari Sampradaya as well. It is essential to wear tulasi beads around the neck, without which one should not be called as Varkari according to the texts of Varkari Sampradaya. Another daily ritual of Varkari is to apply vertical tilaka, that is Urdhva Pundra of Gopi Chandana and various Vaishnava mudras. Varkaris are forbidden to consume preparations with onion and garlic and meat. Varkaris are required to keep away from the illicit relationships, and Varkaris are required to perform Namajapa of mantra Ramakrishna Hari to recite, and along with recitation of Haripatha daily. Varkari Sampradaya is active normally in the state of Maharashtra, mainly the central and western region, predominantly, and also in Karnataka, mainly the northern part of Karnataka, Telangana, the state of Telangana, mainly the eastern part of Telangana, and Andhra Pradesh, mainly the western part of Andhra Pradesh. Santa Jnaneshwara is the founder of Varkari Sampradaya, which was done in the 13th century. He was actively associated with Namadeva, Santa Namadeva, who later propagated the movement as far as Punjab. His work was included in Guru Granth Sahib as Santa Namdev Ji Ki Bani. Santa Eknath and Santa Tukaram are other important personalities in Varkari Sampradaya who were responsible for propagation of this movement. The philosophy of Varkari movement has been described in vast literature of this sect. Jnaneshwar's Bhavartha Deepika or Jnaneshwari, the Marathi Bhashya on Bhagavad Gita, Eknathi Bhagavad, the translation of 10th and 11th canto of Bhagavata Purana, and Tukaramachi Gatha are considered as the Prasthanatrayi of Varkari Sampradaya. These books are supposed to provide us the basic philosophy which has been described in it. Apart from these, Jnaneshwar's Amrutanubhava and Namdevachi Gatha, the collection of compositions or abhangas of Santa Namdev, also provide us important philosophical understanding of Varkari Sampradaya. Chidvilasa, or the playful activity of the Atma Tattva for the self-enjoyment, is the essence of the Varkari movement, which is explained in Jnaneshwari in great detail. It is considered that Chidvilasa, Jagat, the universe, is fundamentally manifestation of Chaitanya, and Atma Tattva manifests in the form of Devi and Shiva, and together gives rise to the universe. Varkari Sampradaya is fundamentally a Bhakti Sampradaya, and Bhakti is considered as the fifth and the highest Purushartha according to this Sampradaya. As per Varkari Sampradaya, the company of saintly personalities help in development of Bhakti, and one should relish it in their company. The Bhakti should be relished in the company of such saintly personalities. To cultivate Bhakti in one, Nama Sankirtana is considered as the easiest and the most cherished ritualistic act. Sannyasa, according to Varkari Sampradaya, is not considered as hardcore necessity to attain the salvation, but one needs to balance the mundane affairs and spiritual activities properly so as to be the bhakta in this particular sampradaya. To understand how Varkari sect has accepted and tried to cultivate the concept of bhakti as part of the religious movement, it would be interesting to compare the concept of Narada Bhakti Sutra and how these concepts have been incorporated in the teachings of Varkari Acharyas in their compositions. Sat Twasmin Parama Prema Rupa It's the Narada Bhakti Sutra, second sutra. Santa Eknath incorporates this in his composition Preme Vina Shruti Smruti Jnana, Preme Vina Dhyana Pujana, Preme Vina Shravana Kirtana, Vrutha Jnana Nrupanatha. O king, be aware of that knowledge of Vedas and Smrutis, conducting Jnana, Dhyana and Puja and act of hearing about and praising the Parmeshwara are futile when done without the supreme love for it. Yallabdhva Human Siddho Bhavati, Amruto Bhavati, Trupto Bhavati. Narada Bhakti Sutra, Kramanka 4, number 4. Santa Eknath incorporates this in his composition Bhakti Pashe Nitya Trupti, Bhakti Pashe Nitya Mukti, Bhakti Pashi Bhagvat Prapti, Maya Nivruti Hari Bhajane. As bhakti is performed, one experiences eternal satisfaction, eternal salvation. Bhakti leads to the Parmeshwara and delivers from the Maya. Puja Dishu Anuraga iti Parasharyaha. Narada Bhakti Sutra Kramankas 16. Santa Tukaram incorporates this in his composition Manomaya Puja Hech Padhiye Keshava Raja. Worship within the mind is the best worshipping ritual for the Keshava Bhakti. Kathadishu iti Gargaha. Narada Bhakti Sutra number 17. Santa Tukaram incorporates this in his composition Harichi Katha, Harichi Harikatha न आवडे जया, अधम म्हणता तया वेळ लागे, कसाया जन्मा आला तो पाषाण, जंतका होऊ न पडला नाही. Those who do not like the stories of Hari are to be termed as the degraded person. He is like a stone which had taken a birth. Why he shouldn't start living like a worm? That is how Santa Tukaram has incorporated this particular concept in his work. Atmarati avirodhena iti shandilyaha. Narada Bhakti Sutra number 18. Santa Jnaneshwara incorporates this in his composition Ani Nirupachara Prema Vishaya Hoyate Je Priyottama Je Duje Nohe Ki Atma Aise Chi Janave. Correctly understanding that there is no other subject of maximum affection than the soul that requires no mundane rituals. That is how this particular concept has been incorporated by Sant Jnaneshwar in his composition. Naradastu tadarpita khila acharita tad vismarane parama vyakulata iti. Narada Bhakti Sutra number 19. Santa Tukaram incorporates this in his composition He Chidana Dega Deva Tuzha Visarana Bhava. O Lord, please offer me the gift of not forgetting you ever. Santa Namadev incorporates this in his other composition. Tujhiye charanice tutata anusandhana, zaila mazha prana tatshani. If I lose the concentrate connection with your feet, with your lotus feet, I will die immediately. Yatha Vraja Gopikanam, Narada Bhakti Sutra Kramanka 21, number 21. Santa Ekanatha incorporates this in his composition Karita Dana Kandana Mazhe Dirgha Sware Gati Guna Ki Adarilya Dadhimanthana Mazhe Charitra Gayana Tya Kariti Karita Sada Sammarjana गोपिकांसी माझे ध्यान, माझे निस्मरणे जाण, परिये देणे बाळका. विसरल्या इहलोक परलोक, विसरल्या कार्यकारण निशेख, विसरल्या नाम रूप देख, माझे ध्यान सुख भोगिता. Sant Eknath incorporates the condition of gopis while they are performing their daily rituals, and how they are performing those rituals by remembering the Sri Krishna in their mind, and without forgetting him, they are keep on performing their daily activities, and how those activities are performed have been given in this particular composition. While grinding the grains, they praise my virtues in long notes. When they churn the curd, they sing about my character. When they are cleaning the ground, they think of me, and while nursing their children, they remember me only. They have forgotten this world and also the other world. They have forgotten their functioning completely. They have forgotten managing themselves as they enjoy remembering me in their consciousness every time while performing their daily activities. Virahini is one of the important compositions of Varkari's saintly personalities, which describe the grief of gopis when Krishna disappeared from their sight. Sant Jnaneshwara has composed many virahinis about the personality and about uh, the gopis who have experienced such separation. The virahini itself means the cry of the gopis because of the separation happened with the Sri Krishna. Other Varkari, important Varkari acharyas like Namadeva, Tukaram, Nirobaraya, etc. have also composed such virahinis. These virahinis point out significant acceptance of bhakti concept by Varkari Sampradaya. Thus, it can be understood that acharyas of Varkari sect have beautifully incorporated the concept of bhakti in their religious movement and subsequently created a social structure in which there was an amalgamation between all caste and creed of the society, and the interactions of Vittala Bhaktas. So Vittala Bhakta centered personalities collectively develop the attractive congregation which is active till date. This Varkari structure is described by Bahinabai, disciple of Tukaram, as follows. संत कृपा झाली, इमारत फळा आली, ज्ञानदेवे रचिला पाया, उभारिले देवालया. नामा तयाचा कंकर, तेणे केला हा विस्तार, जनार्दन एकनाथ, खांब दिला भागवत. तुका झाला से कळस, भजन करा सावकाश, बहेणी फडकते ध्वजा, निरूपण आले ओजा. Compassionate act of the saintly people led to the establishment of Varkari movement. Jnaneshwara laid the foundation and built this temple. Namdeva became the essential matter and propagated this movement. By translating Bhagavata Purana, Eknath, the disciple of Janardana, supported the movement. Tukarama became the apex of the movement by creating abhangas for Hari Bhajana. Bahinabai has become the staunch follower and thus putting forth the essential description. So in this way, we can see that Varkari Sampradaya has incorporated important concepts from the Bhakti Siddhanta, and created a social structure of Shri Krishna Bhaktas, or in this case, Vitthala Bhaktas, and provide us something which is very important for us to look at, where all caste and creed within the society have come together to discuss about the worshipping God of Vitthala, how he is to be worshipped, how the life quality is to be improved with the following, or with the act of bhakti incorporated in our lives. And in this way, a very beautiful religious movement has been created of the Vitthala Bhaktas in Maharashtra and aligned region of India. I thank you very much for kindly giving me the ear for my understanding about the bhakti in Varkari Sampradaya, and I thank University of Mumbai and Department of Sanskrit for giving me the opportunity to express my views about the Bhakti Shastra as well as about the Varkari Sampradaya. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Prasad Apolkarji, for your scholarly thoughts on Bhakti in Varakari Sampradaya. Now the session is open for the discussion. Participants can raise their hands for the queries.
I will stop sharing. Thank you.
Any questions? Yes. S. Gopal has a question. And one second. Balaram ji.
Yes,
Yes,
Purushottam
Purushottam
Keshav Prabhu is
Das.
unmuted. Please go
Yes.
ahead.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful session. We really enjoyed it and we learned a lot. I have one question. While talking to some devotees, I got to learn that the Sant Gyaneshwar, he had some, of course, as you mentioned, that he founded this Varkari movement. But I also heard that he had some influence of impersonalism in his teachings. So
Yes.
I wanted to know about it. Could you please explain?
Since we have limited time, I couldn't focus much on the incorporation or the background behind the Varkari Sampradaya. Jnaneshwara, see, whenever we are trying to understand the background of Varkari Sampradaya, in the 13th century Maharashtra, we can see two important religious movements present in this particular region. One is the Pan-India Natha Sampradaya, which was, as I said, available pan-India, but it is also quite deep-rooted in the region of Maharashtra. And the second congregation is Mahanubhava, In this case, Mahanubhava Sampradaya is relatively new. It is formed by the Changdev Rao, or basically in the 10th, 11th century CE. And it is Vaishnava Sampradaya who was considered Sri Krishna as the worshipping deity. And in case of Natha Sampradaya, the Shiva is the worshipping deity. So before the formation of Varkari Sampradaya, there is two main available religious movement. One is Shaivite and the other is Vaishnavite. In case of Natha Sampradaya, it is somewhat, as you said, impersonal nature of worshipping. But in this particular scenario, we need to understand that the personal experience or personal life of Jnaneshwara has a good impact on the formation of Varkari Sampradaya as a whole. Jnaneshwara, being the son of a person who has initially taken sannyasa and then returned back to Gruhastha stage, and that is something which is not considered to be proper act, or it is not considered proper to come back from sannyasa into being Gruhastha. And after coming back to Gruhastha, after being Gruhastha, his father has delivered four siblings like Nivruttinath, Jnaneshwar, Sopan, and Muktabai. And they were basically outcasted by then society, and they have experienced such anger from the society that they were never involved and in any of the rituals or festivals and anything. So in one sense, we can see that because of such personal experiences, Jnaneshwar must have thought like there should be something because of which a different kind of society needs to be created, where there should not be any discrimination with the caste and creed and everything. And that has given rise for, or that might have motivated Jnaneshwara to form this Varkari movement. Even though he was himself initiated in uh, the pan-India Natha Sampradaya, because by his elder brother Nivrutti, who was initiated in that sect, he was always of the nature where he had learned basically all the scriptures, including Upanishads as well. And as we know that he has written Marathi Bhashya on Bhagavad Gita, and after going through Bhagavad Gita, I think because of the philosophy explained in Bhagavad Gita, in spite of himself being initiated in the impersonalism, he has come up with his own understanding about the philosophy, that is what we discussed, Chidvilasa, and he has tried to combine the duality and singularity or impersonalism and all these philosophies to come forward with his own Chidvilasa philosophy. And this is how, in spite of being himself initiated in the impersonalist philosophy, he has come up with a different kind of philosophy of his own. That is what I can see. I hope the query is resolved, or is there anything you would like to get explained again?
Thank you, sir. Our next question is from Anita Lashkare.
Yes, madam.
Yes.
नमो नमः सर.
Namo Namaha.
खूपच छान लेक्चर होतं. पण मला एक छोटासा प्रश्न आहे सर. भागवत संप्रदाय आणि वारकरी संप्रदाय या दोन्हीमध्ये एक्झॅक्ट डिफरन्स काय आहे?
नाही, असा काही डिफरन्स, असा काही फरक नाहीये. मुळात वारकरी संप्रदाय हा भागवत संप्रदाय म्हणूनच ओळखला जातो. सुरुवातीला जरी भागवत संप्रदायाची मांडणी ही भगवद्गीता आणि त्यामध्ये सांगितलेल्या भक्तीच्या सिद्धांतानुसार झालेली असली तरी पुढे जाऊन एकनाथांनी त्यांना भागवत पुराणाचा जो भाषांतराची त्याला जी जोड दिलेली आहे त्याच्या सहाय्याने जी पुढे वारकरी संप्रदायाची वाटचाल झालेली आहे त्यातून वारकरी संप्रदायालाच पुढे भागवत संप्रदाय किंवा भागवत धर्म अशा प्रकारे नामाभिधान मिळालेलं दिसतं. त्यामुळे वारकरी संप्रदायाचा जो काही पायाभूत भाग आहे तो भागवत पुराणातील भक्तीचाच असल्यामुळे भागवत धर्म आणि वारकरी संप्रदाय हे काही एकमेकांशी फारसे वेगळे आहेत असं आपल्याला म्हणता येत नाही.
Sir, is it possible to, you could translate in English?
Yeah, see the
Others
question
could not
was
understand.
regarding Bhagavata Sampradaya and Varkari Sampradaya, whether these two sampradayas are one and the same or different sampradayas. So, according to me, even though the Varkari Sampradaya was formed on the basis of bhakti described in Bhagavad Gita, in latter stages, when Santa Eknath wrote the Eknathi Bhagavat and provide the support for the Bhakti movement described in Varkari Sampradaya, hence in under that circumstances, Bhagavata Bhakti has also been incorporated in Varkari Sampradaya rituals and understanding. So we cannot differentiate Varkari Sampradaya and Bhagavata Sampradaya. And Varkari Sampradaya itself many times termed as Bhagavata Sampradaya as well. So there is no difference between Bhagavata Sampradaya and Varkari Sampradaya. It's almost one and the same. That is what my answer was.
Thank you, sir. Our next question from Sunil Kumar.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for a fascinating lecture, sir. My question is, can you, inform as to some English books on the Varkari Sampradaya, so I can get a more in-depth understanding? And my second question was, what was the historical development like in the Peshwa or the Maratha Empire, which Sampradaya as such, if so, received more patronage? And 1,000 years back, I believe there was Maharashtri Prakrit. So at the time of Adi Shankaracharya, what was the religious landscape in the area now known as Maharashtra? Thank you.
Yeah, it's the second question I would like to answer first. It's very difficult to exactly say which religious movement was strongly present in Maharashtra during the period of Shankaracharya, but most probably, according to the historical events, we can say that the the Natha Sampradaya was quite deep rooted in this region of Maharashtra, even at the time of Shankaracharya as well. And it can be easily seen by the vast number of Shaivite shrines present in Maharashtra, which are quite old. And we certainly have seen many other sampradayas present in Maharashtra, like we have Ganapatya Sampradaya present in Maharashtra. We also have some what we can say Yaksha worshipping Sampradaya or the totem worshipping Sampradaya present in Maharashtra in the ancient period. With respect to patronage getting at the time of Peshawas, I don't think Peshwas given any patronage to any particular Sampradaya. Peshwas were known to be Ganapatyas because they were worshipping Ganapati. And with that sense, they might have been more Shaivite in nature, but that doesn't mean that they have not given any support to the Vaishnavite movement as well. So, according to me, we cannot see any patronage given by the latter Maratha Empire to any one particular sect or religious movement. But certainly, Warkari movement was being part and parcel of those who were working for the Maratha Empire. And this can be seen because, I mean, with the way the concept of Warkari Sampradaya having propagated pan-India. So, according to me, it's very difficult to say that any patronage have been given to particular or some of the religious movements at the time of Maratha Empire. Related to your question related to the books.
Thank you so much, Dr. Prasad Akulkarji.
Yeah, just a moment. Basically,
Yes.
related to books. Myself has not yet read any English book regarding Warkari Sampradaya, because myself being Marathi, it's always easier for me to understand Warkari Sampradaya with the original text of Acharyas from Warkari Sampradaya itself. But if it is possible, I will surely provide some information about English books available on the Warkari Sampradaya. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your innovative thoughts, Dr. Prasadji. Now we are moving to the next speaker. Our next speaker is Dr. Madhavi Narsale. Dr. Madhavi Narsale is working as an assistant professor in the Department of Sanskrit, University of Mumbai. She is holding a strong teaching experience of 25 years. 3 of her books and more than 40 articles have been published. Presently, she is working on 2 Marathi commentaries on the Bhagavata Purana for the project sanctioned by ICPR. She has presented papers in many national and international conferences and seminars, like World Sanskrit Conference in Delhi, in Thailand, and in Canada, etc. She is the consultant of media houses on Sanskrit and Hinduism. Today, her topic is Vernacularization of Bhakti, study of 2 Marathi commentaries of Bhagavata Purana. I request Dr. Madhavi Narsale to proceed her research. Thank you.
नमो नमः. मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं. The respected chairperson, Professor Dr. Kala Acharya Madam, the organizers of this conference, Dr. Shakuntala Gowde, Dr. Sumanta Rudra, and BVRC, and Ferdinando Sardella from Stockholm University. I take this opportunity to thank all the three for giving me this opportunity to present my research work in this august gathering of scholars. The title of my presentation is Vernacularization of Bhakti, Study of Two Marathi Commentaries in the Bhagavata Puran. On the Bhagavata Puran. Bhagavata Puran is the most widely commented Puran in the whole gamut of Puranas and allied literature. Sanskrit commentaries on the Bhagavata Puran register a pan-India presence. In the medieval period, there was a rise in religious literature composed in regional vernacular languages in India, and Marathi does not lag behind. There are approximately 10 commentators composing their commentary in Marathi, focusing upon the 10th chapter of the Bhagavata Puran. The present paper is divided into two parts. Part 1 will focus on the introductory chapter of two commentaries, namely Bhairavi by Bahira Jataveda, 15th century CE, and Harivarada by Sri Krishna Dayarana, 17th century CE. It will discuss the perspective of the two authors behind the composition of their respective commentaries and the social cultural praxis of the then period. Bahira Jataveda's commentary is known as Bhairavi Tika. This commentary, which was available in manuscript form, has been edited by Sanskrit scholar Professor D.G. Koparkar and published in the year 1991 with a detailed introduction. The author Bahira Jataveda is also referred to as Bahira Pisa, which means the lunatic Bahira. The word Bahira is a prakritized form of the word Bhairav. So from Bhairav, the word Bahirava is derived. From Bahirava, the word Bahiravu is derived. And from Bahiravu, you get the derivation Bahira. Jataveda, meaning fire, is used frequently in the Vedic texts. He was also called Bahirambhat. He resided in the village called Ghogargaon in Ahmednagar district of Maharashtra. When I tried to locate his birthplace, I came across 4 Ghogargaons in Ahmednagar. So it is very difficult to locate in exactly which Ghogargaon does Bahira belong to. His father's name was Krishna or Ananta, and his mother's name was Ambika. Bahira mentions in the concluding chapter of his commentary that his mother worshipped the divine couple Lakshmi Narayan, and because of their grace, Bahira was born. Blessed be my mother Ambika. I have translated the OVs, the poetic stanzas into English. So it is blessed be my mother Ambika, who worshipped Lakshmi Narayan with intention of bearing a son. Then this mortal frame came into existence. This is what Bahira says. The name of his guru was Chintamani of the Atri Gotra. He has addressed his guru with reverence by saying that Guru is superior, that is the culture, as well as the wish fulfilling cow Namadhin. It is at the behest of his guru that he wrote commentary on Bhagavata Puran following the commentary of Sriram. The time period. The editor of the commentary, D.G. Koparkar, regards Bhairavi as the oldest Marathi commentary on the Bhagavata Puran. It belongs to the period between Namadev and Eknath, that is between 1350 CE to 1550 CE. This period is also acceptable by the famous Marathi historian V.K. Rajwade. However, Koparkar notes that the upper limit of the time period of Bahira is 13th century CE. J.R. Asgaonkar, in his work Prachin Marathi Santa Kavi, refers to Bahira Jataveda as Bahira Pisa and has given a different narrative. It is as follows. There was a great Brahmin scholar who had knowledge of the Vedas as well as ancillary literature. Once he liked the taste of curry served during midday meal. He instructed his wife to keep a portion aside for dinner. His wife reacted to his request by saying that instead of spending so much time in thinking about culinary pleasures, if he would have spent that time thinking about Lord Hari, it would have been beneficial for him. This made Bahira reflect on what he was doing, and he started reading the Hindu scriptures. But he could not get the divine glimpse of God. Then he approached a Muslim priest and requested him to perform rituals of converting him to Islam. He read the Islamic scriptures, yet he could not get the divine glimpse of God. Then he started behaving like a lunatic and started wandering in search of God, asking people whether he was a Muslim or a Hindu. He met Vadavara Siddha Naganath or Jagannath of the Natha tradition, who recognized the divinity in him. The seer asked his disciples to clean Bahira by churning him in a limestone container. The seer then collected the limestone paste and cleaned him. Bahira emerged from it saying, I am none other than Brahma, the ultimate reality. He started composing literature of the divine. However, it is to be noted that the story does not mention Chintamani as his guru. Moreover, Asgaonkar feels that Bahira existed at least 100 years before Eknath Maharaj, as his language appears to be older than that of Santa Eknath. R.C. Dhere considers the date of Bahira to be contemporary to Jnaneshwar, as the language of his commentary is Marathi and at the time of Yadavas, before the invasion of Alauddin Khilji. But considering the time period of Sridhara to be between 15th and 16th century CE, it is difficult to accept this date. In the opening chapter of the commentary, Bahira pays obeisance to Lord Ganesh to ward off all evil, as he has undertaken a very difficult task. He establishes oneness as the entire world has emerged from the belly of Lord Ganesh. Bahira is just like a ripple in his ocean, says he. Next, he offers tribute to goddess Saraswati. He requests her to bestow poetic emotion on him. He offers tribute to saints who have sung the glory of Lord. He offers his respects to his Guru Chintamani. Then he prays to his family team Harasa. This is followed by a list of devotees mentioned in the Bhagavata Puran who experienced the grace of Vishnu. Then Bahira mentions in detail the greatness of Sridhara, the commentator of the Bhagavata. Sridhara has realized the futile nature of the world, and also deliverance is offered by worship unto God. The commentary of Sridhara is so beautiful that it touches the hearts of the devotees of the Lord. His Guru Chintamani, belonging to the Kaundinya Gotra, has showered his grace on me by encouraging me to write a commentary on the Bhagavata Puran, says Bahira. In the first 20 verses of the first chapter of the 10th book of the Bhagavata Puran, he elaborates it on the lines of Sridhar. The 20th verse says that the greatness of Purusha is well enshrined in the Purusha Sukta, and Bahira mentions the 16 mantras of the Purusha Sukta and elaborates them in detail with the Kevaladvaita philosophy. The next commentator on the 10th book of the Bhagavata Puran is Sri Krishna Dayaranav, and the name of the commentary is Harivarada, written in OV form of Marathi. The commentator mentions Sridhara with high regards, as the philosophy propounded in the commentary is of Kevaladvaita, but does not strictly adhere to his commentary. For example, the shlok Atha Kamsam Upavrutam is absent in the commentary of Sridhara, but is mentioned in the Harivarada. He mentions about the work of Sridhara as Padapadanza Devuni Zhada, Aksharashah Artha Rokada, Shastra Paribhasha Nivada, Kela Ubhada Sridharokta. I translate. Each and every verse is mentioned explicitly in the commentary. Not a single letter is meaningless. It stands to the test of Shastras, that is treatises. It is clarified on the lines of Sridhara. Dayarana enlists his Guru Parampara at the end of every adhyay, which is as follows: Adinath, then Dattatreya, Janardana, Ekanath, Chidananda, Swananda, and Govinda. This indicates the influence of Natha tradition on Dayaranava. Before the completion of the 10th book, Dayanava passed away, so the chapters 87 to 90 were commented by his disciple named Uttama Shloka. The family name of Dayanava was Narahari or Narasimha. Maharashtra has a tradition of Marathi commentators on the 10th book of the Bhagavata. Dayaram, Madhavasuta, Lolimbaraj, Raghunath Shekhara, Shiva Kalyan, Moropanta, Mallari, Ambaji, etc. Most of these commentaries are still in manuscript form. Our author worked hard for 12 to 13 years to write a commentary on the 10th book of Bhagavata. He braved a blood disorder called Raktapiti, wherein blood oozes from different openings of the body. He lived in a village called Koparde in the Karhad Taluka of Satara district in Maharashtra. His family were Vatandars or landlords of the village. His parents were Narayan and Bahinabai, and they did not have progeny for a long time. After performing number of prayers, the couple begot a son named Janardana and a second son named Narahari in the Shaka era 1596, that is 1674 CE. Narahari lost his parents at a young age. These were the trying times for Narahari, for Aurangzeb had invaded the Deccan. He eliminated Adil Shahi of Bijapur and put Chhatrapati Sambhaji Raje to death. Narahari, along with his family, migrated from Koparade to Ambapur, that is Ambezogai. There he procured guidance from a saint named Govinda. He traveled all over India along with his guru. He was diagnosed with leprosy. In spite of the disease, he read the 10th book of the Bhagavata Puran along with his guru. Once Saint Eknath appeared in his dream and instructed him to write a commentary on the 10th book as a remedy for this disease. Thus, at the age of 54, he undertook this task and spent his entire life working on the commentary. When he completed commenting upon the first half of the 10th book, his affliction due to disease ceased. He acknowledged the advice of Ekanath at the end of the first half of his book. He said, Sadguru Ajna Ati Samartha, Parama Kruparu Ekanath, Shanti Kathila Paramartha, Safala Yetha Tozhala. I translate, the instructions given by the Sadguru are very prevailing. The most compassionate is Ekanath. The benefactor sense with which he spoke culminated into reality here itself. The commentary is on the lines of Kevaladvaita. The opening stanzas mention that Dayaranava is offering obeisance to that one, T capital, which is beyond the experiential world, one which has no differences. It comprises of Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Then he offers tribute to Ganesh, Saraswati, and his Guru Govinda. Words like Maya and Avidya are mentioned in the introduction to the commentaries. In his introduction, he records the coronation of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, then the expedition of Aurangzeb, and the end of Bijapur Empire, that is Adil Shahi. This was a period of tremendous unrest and instability in Maharashtra. In the first chapter, Dayaranava gives the background of the Bhagavata. He narrates the story of Mahabharata in brief, and then the episode of the curse on Parikshit and the advent of Kali Yuga. Before undertaking a brief analysis of both the commentaries on the 10th book of the Bhagavata, we need to take into account the commentary by Santa Ekanath. The commentary is known as Ekanathi Bhagavat, which is a detailed exposition of the 11th chapter of the Bhagavata Puran. Santa Ekanath faced severe opposition in writing a commentary in Prakrit language from the scholars of Kashi. However, seeing the beauty of Marathi, his poetic genius, his pious attitude, the orthodox scholars in Kashi took a procession of his work on its completion. Santa Eknath explicitly says that his commentary follows the light of Sridhara. He says, आता बंधू श्रीधर जो भागवता व्याख्याता सादर जयाची टीका पाहता अपार अर्थ साचार पै असे. I translate. Salutations to Sridhara, the expositor of Bhagavata. On reading his commentary, the meaning is very clear. Eknath's commentary mentions the interrelationship between Sanskrit and Prakrit. Eknath says, Sanskrit grantha karte te Mahakavi, ma Prakruti काय म्हणावी, नवी जुनी म्हणावी, तैसे निकेवी सुवर्णा सुमने. I translate. Why is it so that those composing Sanskrit are great poets, and those composing Prakrit are less in name and fame? Is it the difference between old and new? How can flowers from gold be differentiated as old and new? संस्कृत वाणी देवे केली तरी प्राकृत काय चोरापासून झाली. असो तू या अभिमान भूली वृथा भूली काय काज. I translate. Sanskrit language is created by gods. Is it that Prakrit originated from Greece? These are the false notion of arrogance of language. There is no need to speak much about these differences. Bahira, the commentator from before Eknath and Dayanava, the commentator after Eknath, do not record such type of oppositions of expressing their religiosity in the language other than Sanskrit, Marathi in this case. In the case of Dayanava, the background expressing religiosity in vernacular was already created by Eknath, as the author has mentioned the name of Sant Eknath in enlisting the Guru Parampara. To discuss the element of Bhakti in the two Marathi commentaries which we have taken for consideration, let us take up chapter 29, which is the first chapter of the Rasa Panchadhyayi of the Bhagavata Puran from both the texts. Sridhara says, I quote, how can the Lord enjoy entertaining with the spouses of others? He draws the attention of the readers to the quote in the first verse, which is Yoga Mayam Upashrita. He does mention the famous statement from the Upanishads, Atma Ramo Ariramat. To this quote, Bahira says, Krishna, I translate, Krishna becomes lustful, wandered here and there with the wives of others, won over by Kamadeva like a common man. O king, he appeared to be won over by Kamadeva, but Kamadeva does not overpower him. It appears so because of seeking resort to Yoga Maya. Thus, indeed, this is the power of Maya, says Bahira. As Atma is engrossed completely in himself, I'm translating the quote, Krishna is engrossed in himself. Kamadeva is under the thumb of Krishna. The arrangement of Rasa Krida is to show how victory over Kamadeva has been achieved. This is the life cycle of Narayana, the beginning point. Dayanava expresses him similarly. He says, I translate, the listeners may have a doubt, engrossing in entertaining others' spouse. Krishna resorting to Kamadeva is not befitting him. Nor, as this doubt has emerged from the mind of the listeners, resorting to Yoga Maya, Krishna is enacting in the same manner. He is engrossed in himself. Let us take up another verse, which is Dussaha Preshta Viraha Tivra Tapa Dhuta Shubha Dhyana Prapta Achyuta Ashlesha Nivruttya Kshina Mangalaha Tameva Paramatmanam Jara Buddhi Buddhyapi Sangata Jahur Gunamayam Deham Sadhya Prakshina Bandhanaha. I translate, the separation from Lord is extremely severe and unbearable, that the inauspicious karmas are destroyed. The prarabdha wears off being emaciated by the suffering accrued from separation from the Lord. How is it possible that prarabdha is destroyed without bhogas? This happens because of keeping the Lord in constant thought. Vaira explains, I translate, the moment the gopis perform dhyana, the one with the discus in his hand manifests himself in their hearts at the spur of the moment. Translation ended over here. Krishna is Para Brahma. The pain accruing from separation destroys the karmas, and gopis experience the divine bliss of communion with Lord. Superficially, it may appear Vibhavichara, but it is the pathway of moksha. Dayaranava says, I translate, they are in extreme state of dhyana, enjoying the bliss of Krishna. The feeling of I-ness accruing from the existence of three gunas is given up and they experience the state of mukti. Jara buddhi means saguna love. They worship Krishna with this thought. How can one experience communion when it is nirguna parabrahma? He further adds that the pain accruing from separation will destroy the karmans and the gopis will experience the ultimate level of mukti, which is sayujya experience. But but unlike Gayaranava, Bahira does not use the word sayujya, which is reminiscent of the Kevaladvaita philosophy. Now I move to the next part of my paper. It has been observed that there was a surge in the number of commentaries on the 10th chapter of the Bhagavata Purana. Here, I would like to put forth the theory of cosmopolitanism and vernacularization as discussed by Sheldon Pollock, which can be termed as, this can be termed as the vernacularization of the text. This indicates that the vernacular language, which is Marathi in this case, has occupied the religious and cultural space enjoyed by Sanskrit for nearly 1 millennium. Does this occupying of the religious and cultural space by vernacular be considered in the light of Sanskrit versus Marathi or Sanskrit as well as Marathi? I propose the second alternative. The role of Sanskrit as the medium of communication by the end of the first millennium was restricted to a particular section of the society and particular purpose for its usage. Mostly, it was used in connection with Vedic literature and subjects associated with it, such as the Vedangas. Secondly, it became the language of creative experience in the form of literature, panegyric expressions like Prashasti and Prosody. This led to a formation of cultural power having pan-Indian presence around Sanskrit. The cosmopolitan scope of Sanskrit was challenged by the rise in regional vernacular languages. The trajectory of religious concepts, symbols, ideas from Sanskrit texts, theoretical writings get expressed in vernacular, extending the scope of audience from a specific class to the masses. This local adoption is called vernacularization. Earlier texts pertaining to Bhakti, namely Narada Bhakti Sutras and Chandilya Bhakti Sutras, were written in Sanskrit. Bhagavata Puran accepts their concepts of Bhakti in it and the text. Vernacularization blends religious universalism with specific vernacular languages. This globalization is certainly far more common in pre-modern era, in pre-literate cultures, in which access to the sacred text was limited and religious efficacy could be tied to a specific language. Initially, Vaishnavism was restricted to the priestly class, following strict ritualistic rules and regulations. But as the element of bhakti started gaining mass appeal, it started appropriating elements, concepts, and symbols from them. This led to the acculturation of local and folk gods in its fold. Vithala of Pandharpur and Mahalakshmi of Kolhapur are ideal examples of such acculturation. To give the Bhakti movement a strong theoretical framework, the need arose to have text theorizing Bhakti, and which other text than Bhagavata Puran be suitable for this? Sanskrit was a big impediment in this endeavor. Mere translation of the Bhagavata Puran would not have sufficed this need. An exegetical work was essential for theorizing a new thought. This led to the need of writing commentary in Marathi so that the theory of bhakti could reach the masses. The Bhagavata Puran is the home ground of bhakti in its practical aspects. So, to help the common folk understand bhakti with its nuances, the Bhagavata Puran was vernacularized by scholars. It was not just the vernacularization of texts, but vernacularization of bhakti concepts in it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Any questions?
Any questions, please raise your hand in the Zoom. You will find that in the reactions area.
I think there are no questions. Thank you so much, Dr. Madhavi Narsal, madam, for the innovative lecture. Now we are moving on to the next speaker. Our next speaker is Dr. Puranima Dave. She was the head of the Department of Philosophy, Sathe College, Mumbai. Also, she was an adjunct faculty of Department of Philosophy, University of Mumbai. She is the coordinator of various courses like certificate, diploma and advanced diploma course in Vallabha Vedanta Academy and Research Center, Department of Philosophy, University of Mumbai. Her PhD topic was Vishishtadvaita of Sri Swami Narayana, Principles and Practices. She has done her postdoctoral research project on the topic A Hermeneutic Study of Vachanamrutam by ICPR. She has a teaching experience of 38 years. She is the member of Board of Studies in Logic and Philosophy, Faculty of Arts. She is the convener of Donation Committee for 84th session of Indian Philosophical Congress hosted by the Department of Philosophy, Mumbai University. She is the president of Bombay Philosophical Society, also a vice president. She has translated 12 books from English or Marathi into Gujarati. She has felicitated by conferred memento by BASP, Cultural Festival of India, Edison, New Jersey, for contributing to the success of International Convention for Women. Also, she is felicitated and conferred memento on the eve of Diamond Jubilee of Gujarat Sahitya Prakashan, Ahmedabad, Gujarat. Today, her topic is Bhakti in Nimbarka and Swami Narayana philosophy. I request Dr. Puranima Dave to present her paper. Thank you. Dr. Puranima Dave. Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. You can proceed.
Okay. Yeah. Respected Chairperson Dr. Kalabin, the organizers of this international seminar, wonderful audience, and my co-speakers. My subject is slightly different. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because I'm not getting that, a visual, therefore I feel.
No, we will let you know. Yes.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. You can speak.
Yes. My subject is devotion in Nimbarkacharya and Swami Narayan. I'm going to speak on the philosophical aspect of their views and how devotion has been given the status, the unique status, and as a means of liberation. Before I start, I would like to just read one quotation from Rudolf Otto, who was the famous 20th century German comparative theologian. His remark is excellent for Vaishnavism. Quote, Vaishnavism possesses a profound sense of theism and it could be considered the most strictly. Hello?
Dr. Puranima Dave, just a quick request.
Yes.
Is it possible for you to turn on your video? Because then it gets recorded appropriately with the video. If it's possible for you.
I don't have any video to anyway. Now, is it okay?
Yes, exactly.
Is it okay? Okay.
Yes, now we can see you. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, respected Kalaben, chairperson of the seminar, organizers of this international seminar, my co-speakers, and the wonderful audience. My subject is devotion in Nimbarka and Swami Narayan. So it is slightly different from what has been said on devotion. I would like to wind up everything, within time limit, giving a very broad outline, and between the lines, whatever is to be said, it will be given in my paper as such. Now, Vaishnavism has been appreciated by Rudolf Otto, the famous 20th century German comparative theologian. He has given a beautiful remark. He says, I quote, Vaishnavism possesses a profound sense of theism, and it could be considered the most strictly theistic among the traditions within the Hindu complex because it sustains theism in the fullest sense. Now, when he says, unquote, when he says in the fullest sense, what I mean to say is that at the end, that is when one gets liberation, one's focus is exclusively on God, and this is what is known as fullest sense of theism. Then there is another quotation which I would like to bring it here as a background of my topic, and that is by Dr. Radhakrishnan. Dr. Radhakrishnan has taken note of one very important fact. I quote, Shankaracharya admits the antiquity of the theistic tradition emphasized by Ramanuja. He further says that the uncompromising Advaitism of Shankara made it necessary for Ramanuja to reiterate the theistic view of the Vedas. And the mechanical repetition of the formula, I am Brahman, is a sorry substitute for intelligent devotion, that is Mahatma Gnana Yukta Bhakti. Now, this is the background. At the backdrop of this, I will like to start my subject, After Ramanuja was the first, to give the theistic view of God in his philosophical Vishishtadvaita. After Ramanuja, the Vaishnava Acharyas gradually emphasized bhakti of personal God as the best means of attaining moksha. There are doctrinal differences amongst the Vaishnava Acharyas, but all of them agree in regarding God as personal and liberation of the soul, not in an absorption in the Supreme, but in the fellowship with God. Now, I would like to say something. The quotation of bhakti extends from the simplest forms of devotion to devotion as direct means of liberation. When the simple form of devotion was very popular amongst the people, it meant, sort of emotionalism, sort of sentimentalism, sort of rituals which they were conducting. It was just wearing the kanthi, around the neck, or going to the temple, etc., etc. But when devotion has been accepted as a direct means to liberation, it was given the status, unique status, to devotion, and that required the connotation of bhakti as a means of liberation to be fixed by the acharyas on the philosophical basis. Now, these Vaishnava acharyas expounded sound philosophical systems by reconciling the thought of the Upanishads, the Gita, and the Brahma Sutras, which together are known as Prasthanatrayi. And they proclaimed, after having studied, these three texts which are authoritative texts, and then they proclaimed that the doctrine of salvation through bhakti is the central teaching and the fundamental purport of the Prasthanatrayi philosophy. In this manner, the Vaishnava Acharyas have furnished the sound philosophical base for their doctrine of devotion, and this is how devotion has been given the status which was never given earlier. Now, my main topic is devotion in Nimbarka. Nimbarka's theistic school of Vedanta is known as Dvaita, that is dualistic and non-dualism. He applies the concept of Dvaita at two levels. Ontologically, he says that there is a relation between the supreme reality and the world of Chid and Achid. By Chid we mean the soul, Atma, and by Achid we mean the matter. The relation of the world of Chid and Achid to the supreme, that is to God, is ontologically he is trying to explain. And secondly, theologically he tries to explain the relation between Radha and Krishna on the basis of Dvaita philosophical base of his Vedanta. Now Nimbarka says that the relation between God and the world of Chid and Achid is Swabhavik Bheda Bheda. It is the natural difference and non-difference which anyone can easily understand. He elaborates on this and says the attributes and the capacities of Chid and Achid, Guna, Samarthya, and Swarupa of the Chid and Achid are totally different from those gunas, capacities, and the Swarupa of God. Now, this we all understand in a very simple way. At the same time, he says that the world of Chid and Achid, because it cannot exist independently of God, and therefore there is Abheda. So Bheda and Abheda both are there in the relation between the world of Chid and Achid and God. Now, Nimbarka explains the relation between Radha and Krishna as duality and non-duality. Now, when he says that Krishna is personal God, he is God of love and grace, he possesses all auspicious qualities, and on the other hand, he says that Radha is an eternal consort of Sri Krishna. She is Sri Krishna's Aladini Shakti. She is the power of God. Now, Nimbarka conception of God finds its perfection in Narada Bhakti Sutra. The tradition says that Narada initiated Nimbarka into Gopala Mantra. Now, what is the Gopala Mantra? Om Klim Krishnaya Govindaya Gopi Janna Vallabhaya Swaha. Now, this is the mantra which was given to Nimbarka by Narada himself. Narada also preached Nimbarka the philosophy of Yugala, worship of divine couple of Radha Krishna. It seems after Gopis of Vrindavan, the Nimbarka Sampradaya was the first to begin the worship of Radha Krishna, and thereafter, Radha Krishna worship had become very popular. Nimbarka has assigned great devotional importance to Radha. In the 6th verse of his Dashashloki, he says, Nimbarka says, seated on the left side of Goloka Bihari is Radha, the daughter of King Vrishabhanu. I'm not taking the later part of the sloka because for our purpose, this much is sufficient. Now, when he says seated on the left side of Goloka Bihari, Vame Ange Virajman. Now, Vame Ange is very important here because Vame Ange indicates Swakiya Patni Bhava. It means that she has the privilege of being a wife and only the wife has the privilege to sit on the left side of her husband. So this is showing, the identity relation between the two, or rather Swakiya Patni Bhava. Then she is also described as the daughter of Vrishabhanu. Anuja means the younger daughter of Vrishabhanu, which means that she is dependent on father because she is the younger daughter. So this is showing the Bheda, that is no Swatantra existence. She is dependent on Vrishabhanu. Now Radha Krishna relation is described variously by Nimbarkar as Kanta, Kanta, Aradhya, Aradhaka, worshipper and being worshipped, Shakti and Shaktiman, power and powerful. Now this is the inseparability and oneness which Nimbarkar says is to be understood as a great truth. This is the greatest truth which has been emphasized by Nimbarkar, that there is an inseparability and there is a oneness between Radha and Krishna. He quotes Vaivarta Purana and he says, Yatha Radha Tatha Krishna, Yatha Krishna Tatha Sa, Ubayo Antara Nasti, Radha Krishnatmak Yugalam. So, one who is desirous of moksha should meditate upon Radha Krishna conjointly. Radha Krishna conjointly means both together must be worshipped, those who want to attain moksha. And further he says that cherishing the feeling of female friend, that is Gopi Bhav or Sakhi Bhav. Radha is to be pleased with a view to pleasing Krishna. Radha is the Guru. Radha is regarded to be Acharya. She dispels the sins and ignorance of her devotees through the rays of her nail. In Patal Khand of Padma Purana, Sri Krishna himself has said to Shiva, O Rudra, Jiva can win my heart by the feeling of female friend, resorting to my wife, that is Radha, and not through any other source, which means that Radha, Krishna, both are to be worshipped and with a sentiment, with a feeling of Sakhi Bhava. Here I would like to quote the example of Meera. Now Meera, when she went to Vrindavan, she wanted to meet Gosaiji, and when she sent a message to him, Gosaiji said that because I am a man, I cannot talk to women as such. I cannot meet personally to a woman. And Meera sent the message back saying that I thought in Vrindavan there are all gopis and there is only one man, and that is Sri Krishna. From where the second man has come? Jiva Goswami realized that this woman is not an ordinary type of woman. She is a woman having the knowledge of the Shastra. She is the woman who is having the tremendous love for Krishna. And with Gopi Bhava, she is worshipping Lord Krishna. And then it seems that he allowed the dialogue with Meera. So this is the Gopi Bhav, this is the Sakhi Bhav, and Radha is portrayed as surrounded by thousands of friends, of which the 8 are regarded to be the constant companions. And these constant companions, which are 8 in number, are standing in their hands with the fans, with the garlands, with the flowers, and everything which can soothe and please Radha and Krishna both. So they want to please Radha and Krishna both in some manner or the other. And this is how the Gopi Bhav becomes very important, or it is central in Nimbarkar's philosophy. Now, this is the background. This is the background, or rather the philosophical base of what is called devotion, and how devotion has been taken as a means of attaining liberation. But then what are the practices to be followed? What are the practices? I'm not going to talk about the rituals. I'm going to talk simply about the practices which are emphasized by Nimbarkar. He says that karma is the first one. Karma means swadharma. Karma is also the rules and regulations which are prescribed in the Shastra. And then second is Vidya. Vidya is the knowledge. The knowledge is restricted only to the few, because knowledge was the privilege of the Brahmins who can read the Shastras, and from the Shastras they could acquire the knowledge, and therefore it was restricted to only a few limited people. So Karma and Vidya, and then the third is Upasana. Upasana is the meditation. The first meditation is on the self, on God as an inner regulator. He is inner controller of the soul, of one's own self. This is how the meditation begins. And in the second meditation, you are meditating on God as an inner controller of the matter, that is of the Prakriti. And the third meditation is rising above these two levels, and that is regarded to be meditation on God, transcending Chid and Achid. So you are now eligible to meditate on God as the Supreme Self. And then comes Prapatti. Prapatti is self-surrender. This is self-surrender to both Radha and Krishna to win the grace of God and thereby achieve liberation. Now, this particular Prapatti, practice of Prapatti, is the path which is open for all. There is no bias. There is absolutely no bias of gender. There is no bias of Varna. There is no bias of ashrama. Nothing of that sort. Anyone who is willing to attain moksha can surrender oneself at the feet of Radha and Krishna. And this is again regarded to be the apara bhakti. Apara bhakti means the lower kind of bhakti, which will prepare you or lead you to para bhakti. And this para bhakti, which means that you are fully eligible to enjoy the madhurya rasa. Madhurya rasa is the emotional taste, emotional rasa of God in the fullest, in the perfected sense. So in Prapatti, there is the lower, that is apara bhakti, and apara bhakti is to be continued, which ultimately culminates into para bhakti. And this para bhakti is nothing but to experience madhurya ras in the company of Radha and Krishna. The fifth one is regarded to be Guru Pasati, that is the worship of Guru, whomever you are taking as Guru, then you give the equal worship to Guru like God. And this being a part of Prapatti itself, and therefore he is not taking as the separate practice as such. Now, this is about Nimbarka, how the rituals are there and all that. It is none of my topic, you know. And now I am moving to Swami Narayan. Now, compared to Nimbarka and with Swami Narayan, I would say that Dr. Ranade says, Dr. R.D. Ranade says that Swami Narayan is the last Acharya of Vedanta. He belongs to the late 18th century. He has accepted 5 metaphysical realities. Normally, you know, the 3 realities are accepted. God, that is the Brahman, Chid and Achid. Chid is matter and Achid is the, Chid is the soul and Achid is the matter. Now, Swaminarayan has accepted 5 metaphysical realities, and these 5 realities are Jiva, Ishvara, Maya, Brahma, and Parabrahma. Now, category of Ishvara has been put so that we can distinguish between the Supreme Lord whom we are going to worship from the minor gods who are prescribed and who are found to be everywhere. So like God Indra, God Chandra, God Varuna, etc., they are considered to be minor gods. And these minor gods, if you worship, then your journey will be very long. But directly if you worship the Supreme Lord, you know, your journey will be easier. So to distinguish between the gods and the Supreme Lord, the category of Ishvara has been put. Then Akshara has been given the different status, separate status. It is almost like what we may call Radha in Nimbarka philosophy or Lakshmi in Ramanuja's philosophy. But Akshara concept has been very meticulously and very clearly spelled out by Swami Narayan for the first time. And recently, therefore, Swami Narayan philosophy or Swami Narayan Vedanta has been given the name Akshar Purushottam Darshan. Akshar is regarded to be higher than Chid, Jiva, Ishwar and Maya. He is higher than Jiva, Ishwar and Maya, but he is lower than Purushottama. And therefore, if you want to describe Purushottama, you can easily say that Aksharat Paratah Paraha. Aksharat Paratah Paraha means Akshara is higher than Jiva, Ishwar and Maya, and I am higher than Akshara. So only one line will be sufficient to understand the glory of Purushottama by comparing it with Akshara. So Akshara Purushottam Sampradaya, it is very recently known as. Now, the relation, how it is explained. Now here, Dvaita Dvaita Bhava we have seen. Dvaita Dvaita Bhava, with which, Nimbark has explained the relation between Radha and Krishna and between the world of Chid and Achid and the supreme reality. Now here, we are having the Sharira Shariri Bhava. Sharira Shariri Bhava, with which, even Ramanuja has also explained the relation. Suktankar is of the opinion that much before Shankara, right from the ancient time, Vedanta Sutras are known as Sharirika Sutras, Sharirika Shastra. Now, Sharirika Shastra, which means that the principal denotation of Brahman is that he is embodied soul. He is the soul having the body. And what is his body? Jiva, Ishwar, Maya, and Akshara is his body. Nothing exists outside the body of God. Nothing exists outside the body of God. And the relation between the world of these four realities and God, on the other hand, is having the relation of body and soul. Now, if you try to understand what is the body is pervaded by the soul. Body is pervaded by the soul. Body is controlled by the soul. And body is incapable of doing anything in absence of the soul. So this is how the body is to be understood. Now, in case of my own body, I'm not able to do anything when my soul will pass away from the body. When soul will leave the body, I will not be able to do anything as such. And my entire body ke andar, the soul is pervaded. Soul is in every nook and corner of the body, the soul is pervaded. And this is how the four realities, that is Jiva, Ishvara, Maya, and Akshara, are pervaded by God. They are internally controlled by God, and they are incapable of doing anything without the will of God, without the presence of God as such. So this is Sharira Shariri Bhava, which is very important. Now, theologically, he tries to explain the relation of Sharira Shariri between Akshara and Purushottama. Akshara and Purushottama, he says that it is the servant-master relationship. Servant-master relationship. God is Swami and Akshara is Sevak. Akshara is Param Upasaka. Akshara is Param Sevaka. Akshara is Param Dasa. And it is this Akshara which implies, it is Akshara which implies that Dasatva Bhakti is central in Swami Narayan philosophy. Here, Sakhi Bhav is central, Gopi Bhav is central, here Dasatva Bhav is central, because Akshara is subservient to God. The other realities are also subservient to God, and therefore the master-servant relationship is the one to be maintained when we are doing the bhakti here in the empirical world, and also when we reach to God at the transcendental level, there also we are serving God as a das, and we enjoy offering our seva. And in the offering of seva, we are able to experience the bliss. Now, this is the central philosophy of Swami Narayan. Now, one important fact which is to be remembered here is that in Swami Narayan philosophy, Bhakti is given the name Ekantiki Bhakti. Ekantiki Bhakti, which is known as Bhagavata Dharma also. And this is given the status of Panchama Purushartha. Panchama Purushartha, which means that it is the highest Purushartha, and it is this highest Purushartha which does not have any kind of wish, no Chaturdha Mukti is also desired into that. Now, this Ekantiki Bhakti is what? Ekantiki Bhakti has three ornate virtues. These three ornate virtues are called Dharma, Jnana, and Vairagya. Bhakti itself is there. So in Bhakti, there should be three ornate virtues, Dharma, Jnana, and Vairagya. What is Dharma? Dharma is to live the pious and holy life. What is Vairagya? Vairagya means the detachment from samsara and attachment for God. And Jnana, Jnana means the complete knowledge of the greatness and glory of God. Now, Swami Narayan says that more and more you try to understand the glory and greatness of God, more and more humble you become. More and more humble you become. And when you become more humble, your dasatva bhav gets automatically strengthened. You feel that I must offer my service to God, who is such a great personality, such a great Supreme Lord he is. So this is how the Ekantiki Bhakti is regarded to be integrated sadhana. Integrated sadhana means it is a blend of Dharma, Jnana, Vairagya, and Bhakti. Now, this integrated sadhana, which make one point very clear, that it is a blend of Dharma, blend of ethics. Ethics means Dharma. Ethics means Nishkama Karma Yoga. You have to perform your duties without desiring anything. No desire is to be attached to whatever work you are doing, then work becomes worship. So the demands of ethics are included by incorporating Dharma as an ornate virtue. And then we are having Vairagya. Vairagya includes Anasakti Yoga. Vairagya includes Anasakti Yoga. And the third is the Jnana. Jnana is metaphysics, and it is including the Jnana Yoga. And last is Bhakti. Bhakti, that is religion, is included. And religion, which means Bhakti and Prapatti together. Bhakti and Prapatti together. Bhakti is finally translated into surrender, Atma Samarpan ki Bhavana. And what is Atma Samarpan in the highest sense? Anukulasya Sankalpa Pratikulasya Varjanam. Anukulasya Sankalpa Pratikulasya Varjanam. We are having an example from the Bhagavad that the gopis had decided when Akrur had come to take Krishna from Mathura to Gokul. And at that time, the gopis had decided that we shall not allow him to go from here. And if at all by force he is taking, then we shall sleep on the path and let him walk on our body and then go. We shall see. Anukulasya Sankalpa. Pratikulasya Varjanam. But when after the meeting, the closed door meeting with Akrura took place, and Krishna came out from the room. Krishna came out from the room and he just rolled his eye, and rolling his eye, he conveyed his feeling that now I want to leave Gokul and I want to go to Mathura. Seeing, the desire of God, then they just removed they just forgot their wish, to keep him over there. So Anukulasya Sankalpa Pratikulasya, to do what he likes and not to do what he does not like. Rakshayiti Mahavishwasa. Rakshayiti Mahavishwasa means the strong faith in God that he will protect me. We are having the example of Draupadi. Draupadi was very much confident, that if she ultimately holds the pallu between the teeth, so tightly that he will not be able to remove my sari. But when it slipped, it slipped from the grip of her teeth, and then she says, "Hey Krishna, hey Krishna." And when she is asking, Krishna, that why did you not come to my my help? Then Krishna said, "Did you ask me to? I was standing behind. I was waiting for my turn to come. And you never called me. You had confidence that Bhishma will come, Vidura will come, my Yudhishthira will come, this will come to help me and all. And ultimately, you had confidence in yourself. Mahavishwasa. Mahavishwasa means the firm faith that only God will come to my help. So Yaraksha iti Mahavishwasa, and then ultimately Atma Samarpan. Atma Samarpan is total self-surrender. Total self-surrender means it is with the body, with the mind, with the soul, and with the family, and with all the belongings which you have. So this is regarded to be Atma Samarpan. It is regarded to be self-surrender, and this self-surrender is ultimately becoming the means of liberation. And in this Prapatti Yoga, there is absolutely no discrimination of varna, ashrama, gender, or anything. Whosoever is surrendering at the feet of Lord, God will take the care of that particular devotee and will see to it that they attain liberation. Ramanuja was the first who had opened the door for all. He knew that the Vedas cannot be read. Vedas are not, it's not the privilege of the lower caste, to study the Vedas. And if they do not study the Vedas, they cannot be liberated. But then he said that Prapatti or Atma Samarpan can be done. And it is this Prapatti or Atma Samarpan by which, one can attain liberation. Anyone and everyone is entitled to surrender to the feet of Lord, and they can attain liberation as such. So this is ultimately, the message which is given by Vaishnava Acharyas. And it is this Vaishnava Acharyas, they have upgraded the simple meaning of bhakti to the highest sense. And it is this highest sense into which, bhakti has become the means of attaining liberation. So I just wind up my lecture here. And if you have any questions, you can just ask.
Thank you so much, Dr. Puranima Daveji, for the thought-provoking paper. Now the session is open for the discussion. You can raise your hand to ask questions through the reaction tab. Yes. Mr. Thakkar has a question. Yes.
Yeah, this is Deep Thakkar.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, so much. It was really a pleasure listening to you once again. Ma'am, I just have a small clarification as regards liberation in, Swami Narayan Sampradaya. Is it like merging with the supreme reality, as you mentioned, Parabrahman?
No.
Or is it like a concept of pushti, as in to be serving the, God all the while? How is it like that?
No, it is not merging. Merging in the sense of becoming one. I will give you a simple example. When mother is getting a letter from her son after so many years that from foreign country he is going to visit her.
Okay.
Now, the kind of anxiety which you find in mother's mind is constantly remembering her son. I will be doing this for him. I will be doing for. Now this is retaining your identity, and yet you are getting merged into the thought of God. Now this is what. So we are not having any kind of what is called losing identity.
Okay. So it can be compared similar to the Pushti Sampradaya, wherein, the Bhakta always wants to be serving Krishna and not wanting to be kind of, merging with that entity as such.
No.
Can it be comparable
merging,
or not?
Yeah, merging is only, having the thought of God. You know, we are having attraction,
Okay.
and then we are having attachment, and then we are having vyasana.
Okay.
Yeah. First, you are just attracted by
Right,
him.
right. I understand that. Okay.
And then you are attached to him. But
Okay.
attachment, when it is turned into vyasana, addiction,
Yeah.
you
Right.
cannot remain without him.
Okay.
So that sort of feeling, you know, that sort of feeling
Okay.
is regarded to be merging.
Okay. Fine. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
We have one more question. Sutapa Sadhu, ask your question.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am, for this beautiful exposition. In fact, you carried two sampradayas so quickly, so nicely. I had this question regarding Nimbarkacharya Sampradaya. You were telling about the 5 stages, starting with karma, vidya, and then meditating on control of Prakriti, then God, Chitta Chit. So I wanted to ask, the 5th one is Guru Prapatti. Prapatti, you said.
Guru Sapatti is worshipping Guru. Worshipping Guru. Whosoever you are taking as your Guru, you know, and you are worshipping him like you worship God.
So
like God. And it is by his grace, you know, you become eligible for a final liberation.
Yes. So,
but this is a part of Prapatti only, and therefore, in fact, you know, Nimbarka does not give that much of weightage to the last one.
Okay, yeah, because you didn't elaborate much, so I had doubt, because sometimes we need to surrender to Guru to go through these stages of karma vidya, like how should you do the karma and all that, and eventually, of course, he is the deliverer us from this mortal world for liberation. So okay, so yeah, I think
Guru is to be worshipped, no doubt. But ultimately, you know, you are doing everything, you know, for Radha and Krishna.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
We have one more question. Meera Agarwal has a question.
Yes, ma'am. Is it same as described in Bhagavad Gita?
What? I just didn't get your question.
Yeah, merger, not totally mukti.
No, merger is not in the sense of what Shankaracharya says. I have explained to you number of times. You know, when Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, all these rivers, you know, when they are moving towards the sea, you know, and they merge into that. After they have merged into that, you cannot distinguish that this is the water of Kaveri, this is the water of Godavari, this is the water of total merging. Total merging. You are not having your personal identity. Now here you are retaining your identity.
Okay.
But you are merging in the sense you are
surrendering so many
completely in the thought of God.
Okay.
And here, you know, we are giving always the example of King Janaka. King Janaka was always, you know, looking after his kingdom, and he must be very busy as a king, right? But in spite of that, you know, his mind was always attached to God.
Yes.
And you know, if I'm not taking much of your time, I would like to explain to you that there were 2 Brahmins who had come to his kingdom to ask the question, how you are regarded to be Videhi. When you are looking after the administration of complicated administration as a king, you know, how you could be this thing. And then he says that because you are a Brahmin and therefore, you know, you should be properly treated in my kingdom. So I'm giving you one room into which, you know, all facilities are given. 32 प्रकार के भोजन भी आपको दिए जाएंगे. But on the top of their head, you know, they had kept, you know, the 2 heavy stones. Now these Brahmins were eating everything, but any time, you know, the stone will fall on their head and they would die. This was the fear. Now then, you know, they were taken for the procession. And when they were taken for the procession, you know, the soldier with the open sword, you know, was walking along with them. And they were given the vessel full of oil. And they were told that not a single drop of oil should fall from your vessel.
Yes.
And if it falls, then the soldier is there, he will just chop off your head. And therefore,
Hello.
as you understand, what was the fear in their mind.
One second,
And
one
this
second.
is how when they
Yes,
finished.
sir, boliye.
And the king asked, what did you eat?
Yes, sir.
And what did you see in the
Yes, procession.
Sir, can I call you in 5 minutes after?
You can unmute yourself again. Sorry, you got muted by mistake.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, sorry, you can repeat the answer. Last 15-20 seconds.
So when King Janaka asked, what did you eat? You describe. And what did you see in my town, So they said, we are unable to do anything. We are unable to answer any of your questions because, we had the fear of death. So the King Janaka said that I also have the fear of death in my mind, and therefore my mind remains constantly attached to God in spite of doing my complete administrative work as such. And this is how, I am regarded to be Videhi. And therefore, it seems that more than Shukdevji, Janak is given the priority to quote us, that how this kind of status can be achieved. This kind of status. Even if you are Grahastha, no matter.
Yes.
Whether you are sannyasi or Grahastha, it does not matter. But your mind should remain constantly with God. That is more important than anything else. So,
same story goes with the Narada also, no? He also went with a vessel of oil.
Sorry?
Same story is said about the Narada also.
Yeah, Narada is not considered to be of that status. Huh?
Yes, yes. Yes, ma'am. So thank you so much for making it so clear.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you so much, Dr. Puranima Daveji, for your scholarly lecture.
Really, really.
Yes.
Marvelous lecture.
It's my pleasure. I thank Shilpa Chheda to have suggested my name to you. In fact, I was hesitant, but then ultimately I thought I'll be able to meet people and all. And therefore, I just accepted it. I had some problems in my family, and yet I accepted it because, meeting to so many people, would be very... Okay?
Yes, thank you for agreeing, madam. It was wonderful paper and discussion as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now we are moving to the last speaker of the session, Dr. Sriram Iyer. I briefly introduce him. Dr. Sriram Narayan Swami Iyer is an artist, Sanskrit teacher, and research scholar based in Mumbai, born in a family of artists. He is the grandson of Natya Yogi, late Guru Sri Mani, the founder of Kala Sadhana Institute of Fine Arts, trained in performing arts under the eminent gurus of Kala Sadhana. He was fortunate to receive training in Sanskrit under distinguished stalwarts such as late Professor A.R. Kulkarni and Professor Dr. Gauri Mahulikar. He received instructions on Chandas, Kavya, and Natya Shastras from Professor Kulkarni. He was awarded the PhD by University of Mumbai for his thesis titled as Shri Muthuswami Dikshita Charitam, a critical study, prepared under the guidance of Dr. Gauri Mahulikar, Dean of Chinmaya Vishwavidyapitha in 2021. As a researcher and choreographer, he has played a pioneering role in bringing to light and popularizing several rare Sanskrit compositions of Sri Swati Tirunal and Sri Muthuswami Dikshitara through Bharatanatyam. As a composer, has to his credit the creation several dance pieces such as Varnams, Shabdams, etc. in Sanskrit. He has also to his credit the creation of Sanskrit works Chitra Kavya style such as Uma Parinayam, Sri Shankara Digvijayam, and Sri Bhagavata Charitam that have been performed at the several prestigious occasions. As a versifier, he has composed poems of several deities as well as independent verses on numerous occasions and topics. His poetic verses as well as articles have been published in some of the renowned spiritual magazines such as Dileepa. His research articles have been published by leading journals such as Prachi Prajna, Hitaya, Dhimahi, etc., to name a few. Apart from his association with Kala Sadan, he has been connected with the several other educational institutions such as the Department of Sanskrit, University of Mumbai, and few others. Now I request Dr. Sriram Iyer present his research paper. Thank you.
Namaskar, Mr. Babu. Bhikshanna patrannu yatir grihitva yasyanna shesham mamude mukundah pradaya Shri Bhakti Rasayanam yo hyatarpayat bhagavatanstam namami. Radha dhavang yuga sevana purna kaman ragari dosharahitan karunardra chittan nairashya bhakti sadhanan muravairi vashyan punyan sada parama bhagavatan smarami. Offering my namaskarams at the feet of the Parama Bhagavatas of the past, those living at our own times, and those of the future. I make a very humble attempt to briefly present the exemplary Krishna Bhakti of Sri Madhusudana Saraswati with specific reference to his work, Bhagavad Bhakti Rasayanam. Ekattvanyatvananatvam ye viduryantite param. Samosi sarvabhuteshu na te dveshyosti na priyah. That is, those who understand the oneness, the distinctness, and the plurality attain your supreme abode. For you are the same in every creature, and you have none dear to you, nor you have avarice towards any. These are the words of Sri Bhishma as he eulogizes Sri Krishna Paramatma in the Shanti Parva. Through these words, perhaps Bhishma intended to provide that Sri Krishna would be the common ground between the later acharyas who would interpret Vedanta distinctly as either Ekatva, oneness, or Anyatva, distinctness, or Nanatva, plurality. It is certainly undisputable that Sri Krishna Bhakti was unanimously embraced by Sri Shankaracharya, Sri Ramanujacharya, Sri Nimbarkacharya, Sri Madhvacharya, Sri Vallabhacharya, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, regardless of their philosophical differences. However, among the preceptors of Advaita, it was Sri Madhusudana Saraswati of the 16th century CE who brought about the confluence of Advaita Vedanta of Shankaracharya with Sri Krishna Bhakti in the true spirit of the Bhagavata Purana. Sri Madhusudana Saraswati was a polymath, and his works include independent philosophical treatises, dialectical works, commentaries, as well as literary pieces. Each of these distinctly reveal his exclusive and ultimate devotion to Sri Krishna. The prologue to Sri Krishna Kutuhalam, a Sanskrit play by Madhusudana Saraswati, revolving around the transcendental pastimes of Sri Radha and Sri Krishna, refers to him as Ashaishavam Vaishnavaha. That is, who was a Vaishnava since his very infancy. The same prologue also mentions Sri Krishna Saraswati and Sri Mukunda Saraswati of Vrindavana as his Guru and the Paramaguru respectively in the Bhakti Marga. Such was the devotion of Madhusudana Saraswati towards Sri Hari that he composed a unique bhashya on the very well-known hymn Shiva Mahimna Stotra, where every verse is interpreted with respect to Hari as well as Hara in order to establish the unity of Shiva with his favorite deity, Sri Krishna. It is the Bhagavad Bhakti Rasayana, a short yet comprehensive treatise on Krishna Bhakti comprising about 140 verses that accords him a distinct position among the Bhagavatas. The work is primarily an unambiguous exposition of Bhakti, its characteristics and categories, the means to cultivate Bhakti, as well as the manifestation of the Bhakti Rasa. The work clearly reflects the skills of Madhusudana Saraswati as a Vedanti, as a dialectician, and an aesthetician, apart from being a devotee of the highest order. Here is an attempt to present in brief some of the highlights of Krishna Bhakti as postulated by Madhusudana Saraswati in the Bhakti Rasayana. The work, as per the convention, commences with an invocatory stanza Mangalacharana. However, it is very interesting that the entire proposition of the work is presented through this Mangalacharana, where Madhusudana Saraswati says, Navarasamiditam va kevalam va pumartham paramam ihamukunde bhakti yogam vadanti nirupama sukha samvidrupam asprishta dukkham tamaham akhila tushtiyai shastra drushtya vinajmi. That is, here is an attempt, says Madhusudana Saraswati, to expound the Bhakti Yoga in a Shastric manner, which is either in the form of either alloyed with the Navarasas or the dramatic sentiments or independent. However, this Bhakti Rasa, this Bhakti Yoga is Nirupama Sukha Samvid, the experience of the highest bliss, and Asprishta Dukkha, untouched by a tinge of sorrow, even a tinge of sorrow. The very first verse, the invocatory stanza, is followed by an exhaustive commentary by Madhusudana Saraswati. We shall come to it later. Before that, it is essential that we understand a few concepts peculiar to Madhusudana Saraswati's Bhakti philosophy. Firstly, we take the definition of the term Bhakti. Here, Swami defines Bhakti as Dhrutasya Bhagavad Dharmat Dharavahikatam Gata Sarveshe Manaso Vrittihi Bhaktihi Ityabhidhiyate. That is, it is the state of mind where the mind, which is dissolved or dravibhuta by the practice of Bhagavad Dharma, ceaselessly flows towards the supreme deity. That is, in other words, it is a mind longing for the Lord. Dravavastham praptasya chittasya dharavahiki ya sarvesha vishaya vrittihi. Here again, following the idea of Srimad Bhagavatam, that mentions of an insect attaining the state of a wasp by its constant contemplation of the latter, Madhusudana Saraswati in his commentary explains that the mind longing for the Lord attains Bhagavata Karata, the form of the Lord. About the mind and its dhruti, he says that the mind is as hard as rock, and instincts such as kama, krodha, etc. are the factors that bring about the dissolving of the mind, that liquefy the mind, that bring about the dhruti of the mind. The mind, when in contact with these, is dissolved and hardens once they are withdrawn. Just as the color mixed with lac in its molten state continues to remain forever after solidification, similarly, just as the color mixed with the lac in its molten state remains forever, so do the objects that come in contact with the mind in its molten state remain permanently as vasanas or mental impressions. This is the same as the sthayi bhava. The Lord entering the mind in its dissolved state remains in the mind as a sthayi bhava and manifests later as the complete rasa. Here, taking the position of an uncompromising Vaishnava, Shri Madhusudana Saraswati states, Dravatva dharavahikatva yukta api asarvesha vishaya na bhaktir iti uktam. That is, even if the mind is liquefied and even if there is a constant longing, it cannot be regarded bhakti if the object of such longing is someone other than the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. He again explains the word bhakti etymologically and concludes that bhakti is both a sadhana, means, as well as sadhya, the end. He says, bhajanam antakaranasya bhagavadakarata rupam bhaktihi. That is, the mind's attainment of the form of the Lord is bhakti. Here, bhakti is the sadhya or the end. On the other hand, he says, bhajyate sevyate bhagavadakaram antakaranam kriyate anaya iti bhaktihi shravana kirtanadi sadhanam abhidhiyate. The second interpretation is bhajyate, which means that by means of which the mind attains the form of the Lord. So here bhakti, the term bhakti refers to the practice of devotional forms such as Shravana, Kirtana, etc., where bhakti is the sadhana or the means. Now let us come back to the interpretation of the commentary on the first verse. He mentions that bhakti yogam vadanti. Taking the term bhakti yoga, Madhusudana explains, of the 4 yogas that are known, karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga and bhakti yoga, he regards ashtanga yoga as only a supplement to the jnana yoga. Then he comes to the chronology of the practice of all these yogas, just to establish the supremacy of the bhakti yoga. He says, karma yoga comprises of following the vratas, yajnas, samskaras, etc., according to one's varna and ashrama. And the objective of the performance of karma yoga is nothing but the purification of one's mind. Antakarana shuddhi is the objective of karma yoga. And Swami says, the constant practice of karma yoga culminates in either of the two. If the mind is liquefied, if dhruti, chitta dhruti takes place, then the person develops a liking for listening to the names and the glories of the Lord. On the other hand, it could also culminate in disinterest in the performance of worldly actions. So the purified mind in its ultimate stage either develops devotion or develops a kind of vairagya, indifference, nirveda. This again, he quotes the Bhagavata Puranam for his stand. He says, Tavat karmani kurvita na nirvedyet yavata mat katha shravanadova shraddha yavanna jayate. That is, one must perform the karma yoga as long as he either develops bhakti or he develops disinterest. So in case of the person who develops bhakti, his path is clear. He has already attained the destined path or the desirable path. And in case of the other, he says, the mind that has been purified now, the person must practice the Ashtanga Yoga and follow the Bhakti Yoga as explained in the Bhagavad Gita, which Jnana Yoga as explained in the Bhagavad Gita, which may be summarized as nothing but detachment towards the body and the sense organs. So Ashtanga Yoga, practice of Ashtanga Yoga, and accomplishing the Jnana Yoga, which is nothing but detachment towards one's body and the sense organs. Again, the culmination of this Jnana Yoga too is Bhakti Yoga. For Jnana Yoga is again nothing but Sadhana Bhakti, which he substantiates again by quoting the Srimad Bhagavatam, Yamadibhir Yoga Pathaihi Anvikshya Chacha Vidya mamarchopasana jnanyaihi yogyam smarin manah. That is, ultimately, it is the Bhakti Yoga that comes to the fore. Then he concludes that when a fortunate man, by his commitment to the sadhana bhakti, turning away from the sensual objects, develops exclusive love for the Supreme Being, the mind is liquefied by listening to the glories of the Lord, and the mind assumes the form of the Lord, that is Bhagavata Karata, which was earlier discussed. This Bhagavata Karata is known as the Rati, the Sthai Bhava that manifests as Rasa, the ultimate bliss. He goes further to establish Bhakti as the Parama Purushartha. While the scriptures discuss 4 Purusharthas, namely Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha, Madhusudana Saraswati, as an accomplished Tarkika dialectician, establishes that to term Dharma, Artha, or Kama, or Moksha as a Purushartha is only an instance of figurative names, Aupacharika. He says it is in reality the Sukha that one derives, Dukkha Sambhinnam Sukham, the bliss untainted by sorrow. That is the real Purushartha. Since Dharma or Artha or Kama or Moksha can lead to that Sukha, they are called Purusharthas. He gives the example of saying the expression Langalam Mama Jivanam, the plowshare is my life, where it only indicates that plowshare is the means to one's sustenance, and not his very life. So to term Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha as Purushartha is only transferring the title to them, rephrasing the name to them instead of the Sukha, which is the real Purushartha. Then he again quotes that Bhakti, being the Nirupama Sukha Samvid Rupama Sprishta Dukkham, is the real Purushartha. He also takes into account the views of persons who argue that Bhakti can be treated as a limb of either Dharma or Moksha. While acknowledging that, he says that whether independently, Swatantrataya, or Angataya, as a limb of Dharma or Moksha, Bhakti is a Purushartha. Another interesting view of Swami Madhusudana Saraswati is that he regards Jnana and Vairagya as essential qualities for Bhakti. He says, love of the Lord reaches its zenith only when there arises Paravairagya. This Paravairagya is an important term. Paravairagya means disinterest in all fruits, all phalas, right up to moksha. So this Paravairagya is a prerequisite for the Parama Prema. And he says that such a detachment cannot arise without Jnana. Jnana, according to Madhusudana Saraswati, is Bhagavad Vitiriktam Sarvam Agamapayitvat Swapnavat Mayikam Tucham Dukkharupam Chaheyam. Bhagavan Eva Satya Swaprakasha Paranandamaya Rupo Nityo Vibhu Cha Upadeya Iti Jnanam Ityartha. That is, everything other than Bhagavan is ephemeral, illusory, trivial, miserable, and deserves to be shunned. On the other hand, Bhagavan alone is the truth, self-effulgent, and the embodiment of bliss. He, being omnipotent and eternal, is alone worthy of acceptance. Upadeya. He then presents a chronology of one's spiritual progress briefly as Bhagavatasya Bhagavad Dharmanusthatuh Prathamam Bhagavat Prabodhah Tatah Param Vairagyam Tatah Prema Lakshana Bhakti Ityarthah. That is, a Bhagavata, one who follows the Bhagavad Dharmas. First stage is to realize the Bhagavan, the knowledge of Bhagavan, the realization of his relation to the Bhagavan. Then did Paravairagya, the detachment of all fruits, including the desire for moksha. Thereafter arises the Prema Lakshana Bhakti, love, Bhakti characterized by intense love. Towards the end of the Prathama Ullasa, the first Ullasa of the work, Madhusudana Saraswati mentions some of the important stages, 11 stages of an individual's spiritual progress. For this, he relies on the various verses and the episodes of the Bhagavata Puranam, and he substantiates some of his views by quoting such. The shloka says, Prathamam Mahatam Seva, Taddaya Patrata Tatah, Shraddha Tatesham Dharmeshu, Tato Hariguna Shrutihi, Tato Ratyankurotpattihi, Swarupadhigatas Tatah, Prema Vidhi Paranande, Tasyathas Puranam Tatah, Bhagavad Dharmanishtatah, Swasmin, Tat Gunashadita, Premnotha Paramakashthe Tyudita, Bhakti Bhumika. So these are the 11 bhumikas of the stages of one's spiritual progress in the path of bhakti. The first one is Mahat Seva, service rendered to the pious or the holy, and he says it could be twofold, either Bhagavat Seva or Bhagavata Seva. It could be direct service to the Lord or to his devotees. And he says, without this Bhagavat Seva or Bhagavata Seva, there could be no rise to the Bhakti Rasa or the sentiment of Bhakti. And the second stage is to become worthy of the grace of the Mahans. That is, by one's own qualities, by one's noble qualities, secure the grace of the pious. And the third is Tesham Dharmeshu Shraddha, faith in the dharmas practiced by the pious. And one is expected to long to practice, to take up the practice of those qualities and attain Kritakrityata or completion. Then the fourth stage is Hari Guna Shruti. Here Madhusudana Saraswati includes all the Navavidha Bhaktis within the title of Hari Guna Shruti, like Shravana, Kirtana, Smarana, Atmanivedana, etc. The fifth stage is the most important one, called Ratyankurotpattihi, the sprouting of the Rati. It is said that the Bhagavad Dharmas are in reality the seed, and these seeds sprout in the form of Rati. So Ratyankurotpatti is important, and the remaining 6 stages that are to be discussed rest upon the sprouting of the Rati, or the love for the Lord, which is the Sthai Bhava of Bhakti Rasa, again quote to say. Then the next stage is Swarupadhigatihi, to realize one's inner self, which is distinct from the gross and the subtle body. Then comes Prema Vriddhi, the maturity of love towards the Supreme Lord. And then manifestation. The 7th stage is Prema Vriddhi, and the 8th stage is Paramananda Spuranam, which is Sakshatkara of the Lord, experiencing the Lord. And the 9th stage is Bhagavad Dharmanishtha. Only at this stage, only after Paramananda Sakshatkara, one actually becomes capable of following the Bhagavad Dharmas. And the last stage, second last stage here is Swasmin Tad Gunashadita. While all the attributes, worldly attributes, are Nashvara, one must try to cultivate in himself, a devotee, a seeker must try to cultivate within himself those gunas of the Lord which are Avinashvara. And the last stage of love is the highest state of love, which is called premnah parakashtha, which Madhusudana defines as inability to bear separation from the Lord till the end of one's life. So here, of the 11 stages, the first 8 stages are regarded as preparatory stages or a sadhana abhyasa. That is up to Paramananda Sakshatkara. They are all sadhana abhyasa. And the remaining 3 stages are regarded as sadhya. The second ullasa is primarily focused on the classification of bhakti rasa. So firstly, Madhusudana Saraswati classifies bhakti according to the principles of aesthetics, Sahitya Shastra or Natya Shastra, and later according to the theology, Vaishnava theology. We'll just briefly see them in order to remain within the given time. So basically 3 concepts have to be remembered as far as the aesthetics are concerned. The Rasa Sutra of Bharata says, Vibhava, Anubhava, Vyabhichari Bhava Samyogat Rasa Nishpattihi. Vibhavas are determinants on which the rasa is supported. Anubhavas are the external, the consequence or the external manifestations, and Vyabhichari Bhavas are the transitory modes. As per the Indian aesthetics, the Sthayi Bhava, which is latent in the mind, manifests as a complete rasa by the combination of Vibhava, Anubhava, and Vyabhichari Bhava. So here we have already seen that Madhusudana mentions Rati as the Sthayi Bhava for Bhakti, which is again same as Bhagavata. So the most interesting part of Madhusudana's idea of Bhakti is that the Alambana Vibhava is the Lord. Bhakti Rasa ka object, there has to be an object for any sentiment, and the object of the sentiment is the Lord. And there has to be a Sthayi Bhava. The Sthayi Bhava again is Bhagavata, the mind which has assumed the form of the Lord. Therefore, Krishna is both the Alambana Vibhava as well as his Sthayi Bhava. And this he justifies by giving the example of Bimba Pratibimba relation. He says that the Alambana Vibhava, the Lord, is the Bimba, and the Sthayi Bhava is only the Pratibimba. I had earlier mentioned, I quoted Madhusudana Saraswati that the Chitta Dhruti takes place on account of a number of factors. So these factors are enlisted in the second chapter. He says they are Kama, conjugal love, Dvesha or anger arising out of hatred or love. Then comes Bhaya, fear, which is again out of hatred and love. Sneha includes non-conjugal forms of love, such as friendship, filial affection, or servitude. And then comes Harsha or joy, which is again classified into Hasa, laughter, Adbhuta, wonder, Shuddha Harsha or pure devotion, and Utsaha. Utsaha again, perseverance or Utsaha is again fourfold, either Yuddha Utsaha, Dayotsaha, Danotsaha, or Dharmotsaha. The names are self-explanatory. Then comes the factor known as Shoka or sorrow. And then we have Daya or Ghrana, which is revulsion. And the last being Shama or tranquility. He goes on to explain that each of the aforesaid instinct is mentioned in detail, and he asserts that there cannot be more than the aforesaid 16 instincts. He then determines the Sthayi Bhavas, which in turn manifest as Rasa. Out of these, he includes Dharmotsaha, Dayotsaha, Ghrana, Dvesha, arising out of jealousy or fear, as the causes of Sthayi Bhava for Bhakti. That is, these instincts cannot determine the Sthayi Bhava of Bhakti, since they cannot have the Lord as its object. Therefore, he does not recognize the sentiments of Dharma Veera, Daya Veera, Shanta, Raudra, and Bhayanaka. According to him, Bhakti Rasas are 10 in number, which are Shringara, Karuna, Hasya, Preeti Bhayanaka, that is, terrific sentiment arising out of love. Then Adbhuta, Yuddha Veera, Dana Veera, Vatsada, prayers or friendship, and Vishuddha or pure devotion. So here, what is the most interesting factor is that while the others are quite well known, Vatsada is parental love, etc., Vishuddha Bhakti is important in the sense, he says, he defines Vishuddha as Ekah Paranandamayah Shrisha Mahatmya Karanat Tad Jananyam Dritau Shuddharatir Govinda Gochara Etarantam Hi Shastreshu Sadhananam Ishyate. Which means this Vishuddharati is not characterized by any of the other instincts, Kama, Krodha, etc. It arises spontaneously on account of the greatness of the Lord. And such pure bhakti, pure love, is the object of all sadhanas, he says. And then he goes on further. So this, the 10th Vishuddha Bhakti and the other 9 forms of bhakti are what mentioned in the first shloka, Navarasamiditamba Kevalamba Pumartha. So that these were the 10 forms of bhakti according to the schools of Indian aesthetics. And then he goes on to classify according to theology. He says, Rajastamo Vihinatu Bhagavad Vishayamatihi Sukhabhivyanjakatvena Ratihi Ityabhidhiyate. Now Rati is treated separately with regard to the divine love, not from the perspective of aesthetics. He says love which is untouched by Raja, Rajoguna and Tamoguna, and that which leads to bliss is Rati. And then he goes on to classify these Ratis into various grades. And he says, in the Sattva Guna, Rajoguna and Tamoguna cannot be totally removed. So there is a Taratamya or difference in the proportion of the other 2 gunas. So according to that, there arises a difference in the grades of Rati. And he classifies the Ratis as Mridu Tivra, Madhya Tivra, and Tivra Tivra. He says Mridu Tivra is seen in the Vaikuntha, Madhya Tivra at Dwaraka, and Tivra Tivra at Sri Vrindavan. Having classified Ratis into different grades, he now finally comes to the various classes of Ratis according to theology, Vaishnava theology. He says they can be broadly classified as Anupadhi and Sopadhi. Anupadhi is nothing but the Shuddha Bhakti Rasa that arises out of the, spontaneously arises on account of the Lord's glories or greatness. Or among the Sopadhi Ratis, he includes Kamaja, Sambandhaja, and Bhayaja. Kamaja, that arising out of lust. Sambandhaja, that arises out of the sense of kinship. And the last one, the one that arises out of fear. He says, Kamajarati gives rise to Shringara Bhakti. Sambandhajarati gives rise to Vatsada Bhakti or Sankhya Bhakti. Bhayajarati gives rise to Preeti Bhayanaka Bhakti. And he finally says, when all the 4 aforesaid Sopadhi Bhaktis, that is Shringara Bhakti, Vatsada Bhakti, Sankhya Bhakti, and Preeti Bhayanaka Bhakti come together, it leads to the highest bliss. For this, he quotes the examples of the gopis of Vrindavana. He says, Vrajadeveshu cha spashtam drishtam rati chatushtayam tat chittadambanattvena swachittam tadrisham bhavet. That is, once emulating the bhava, emulating the minds of the gopis, one must also cultivate that form of bhakti in him, says Madhusudana Saraswati. So I would wind up here with only the last reference to Swamiji. What has been discussed here is only a fistful of water from the ocean of Madhusudana Saraswati's bhakti. It would be no exaggeration to say that Krishna bhakti is inherent in every work of Madhusudana Saraswati, which is rightly pointed out in the Krishna Kutuhalam, which mentions Radheva Sarasa Yasya Gunadankara Shadini Vina Krishnam na Pushnati Ratim Vagvaravarnini, the maiden of whose speech, that is aesthetic, comprising of poetic excellences and embellishments like Radha, does not bear love for anyone other than Sri Krishna. Sri Madhusudana Saraswati is most noted for his work called Advaita Siddhi. Siddhi, as you all know, means the perfection or the accomplishment. As a Bhagavata belonging to the Advaitic tradition, I am inclined to state here that Sri Krishna Charanam Bhoja Prapanad Yastamaskari Advaita Siddhim Akarot Tam Mande Madhusudanam. Madhusudana indeed brought about the Siddhi of Advaita Veda by offering it at the feet of Sri Krishna. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. If there are some questions, we can go ahead with them.
I would like to know a little bit more detail about Mradu, Madhur and Tibra Bhakti.
So what he says is, based on the Viraha, the level of Viraha, the gradation comes into force. Rati is judged by the yardstick of the Viraha Pida, Viraha Dukkha. So he says that this Viraha Dukkha is most witnessed at Vrindavana. The gopis cannot bear the separation from Krishna even for a moment. So that is the Tivra, the most intense form of Rati, where there is total intolerance to separation. Then Madhya Tivra can be found at Dwaraka and Mrudu Tivra at Vaikuntha. Because Madhusudana Saraswati has explained that the gradation is based on the reduction of the Rajo and Tamo gunas. At Vrindavana, the Rajo and Tamo gunas are to the minimum level. Therefore, the Rati or the Viraha Vedana is the most.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Very nicely explained.
Thank you.
So thank you. I think we can go now for chairperson remarks. So now I request Dr. Kala Acharya to present her remarks as a chairperson.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, madam.
Actually, I am thankful to you all the paper presenters, because it was like a feast to enjoy. So for the first paper on Varkari Sampradaya by Dr. Prasad Akolkar, he has mentioned first in the beginning the characteristics of a Varkari, external characteristics, and then he talked about various other things like dhyana, etc. But just I want to add, when he said that Tulasi Mala is the characteristic of a Varakari, it is because Tulasi is regarded as the consort of Lord Vishnu or that of Krishna. So what he has quoted several Bhakti Sutras, Narada Sutras. There I want to say that after giving several definitions of Bhakti, what Narada says is important. The one sutra is more important. Naradastu tadarpita khilacharata tad vismarane parama vakulata iti. This, according to Narada, total surrender of all actions, secular or sacred, to God is an act of love, to remember him with love at all times, and to feel extreme anguish and intense pain when one dictates that even for a few moments he has forgotten Lord. So this particular definition, I think, is the most important characteristic of a Varakari, because according to me, all followers of Varakari sects, when they do their duties, they perform their duties. But for a single moment, they are not away from Lord mentally. When Jnaneshwara had met Namadeva, then he realized the tender intensity of Bhakti. And we all find that though this tender intensity of Bhakti is one important characteristic of Varakari Sampradaya, we all find that all, for example, Sena, Navi, Sautamai, Narhari Sona, Gora Kumbar, Sokha, all have performed their duties with dedication, and while doing their duties, they were engrossed in the devotion of Lord. And that is why, for this reason, that they were performing their duties, there is the relevance of the tenets and practices of Varakari Sampradaya. He has also mentioned about the gopis, and here I want to say that mention of gopis when they forget Lord. There we can say that there is the seed of mysticism, because in Christian mysticism there is the dark night of the soul where Lord is forgotten. So all gopis, if they forget Lord, they will think they are undergoing this particular state of the dark night of soul, which is as though the separation, darkness of separation. And one unique point about Varakari Sampradaya and their all saints we find is that all their whatever philosophy they are telling, that philosophy is in very simple language, and they give examples from their own professions. For example, Sena Navi says, as a barber, I shall give a haircut to men, I shall explain the purpose of life and cut the nails of desire and anger. Whereas Sautamai says, all Marathi people, Maharashtrians know, onions, radish and vegetables, these are my vithabai. And Narhari Sonar says, oh God, I am your goldsmith and carry on the business of your name. I blow the bellows of Jiva and Shiva and beat the gold taking the name of Lord. So, and he, and also Dr. Akolkar mentioned about the Virahinis, and these Virahinis also can again be connected to the dark night of the soul. When Dr. Madhvi Narsale had presented her paper on vernacularization of Bhakti, giving the based on the commentaries to Marathi commentators on Bhagavata, we find that she talked about Vairagya Veda and Dayarnava, and also about Eknathi Bhagavata. All of these commentators are inspired by Sridhar Swami, we find. And these Sridhar Swami's commentary is obviously in Sanskrit. She spoke about the biography of the commentators, and one was inspired by his wife, as she said that she told him, why do you think about the eatables so much, instead you go to Lord. think of Lord. So it is like Kanta Samhita Tayopadeshu Yuje, and the other was inspired to do this, to undertake this work because of this Vyadi. So the reasons were different, but the outcome is Bhakti. Outcome is the same, but they have different affiliations to the offshoots of Vedanta. What we find is that Rasa Leela, which she has mentioned, has become a tool for Mukti. Maybe it's Sayujya Mukti, or maybe it other type of Mukti. But this is due to the melting of the ego, that is INS, which we find in the paper of Sriram here, that melting is there, and that here the melting is melting of INS, and which is due to that INS which is due to the composition of three gunas. And in a way, this is a total surrender, thinking that prapatti, that goptrutva varnanam, that God is the savior. And when these gopis consider themselves as the devotees and God as savior, because of their passion of love, it is not just passion, it is the fire of love. In the presence of fire, prarabdha karma is all burnt. That is how it can be interpreted. And that's why their prarabdha karmas, they turn into dagdha bija bhava, and thus follows the mukti. Dr. Narsale has also raised a pertinent question whether the vernacularization is of Sanskrit text or is of the doctrine reflected in them, and her title itself gives answer, but in her paper she has elaborated on it, giving the rational reasons for the exercise, for taking up this exercise of the commentaries, that the masses, they are at the receiving end, and if they don't have the access to philosophy, then there can be a problem. The flow has to be always a constant flow, and it is an evolution in a way of the philosophy. So there can't be any stagnation. Thank you, Dr. Narsale, for your very beautiful paper. The next one was Dr. Puranima Dave's paper. She talked about two philosophies. One is Nimbarka's Dvaita, considering mainly based on Radha Krishna, and the other one was about Swami Narayana. And when she, we all know that the Swami Narayan Sampradaya has its root in the Vaishnava tradition, mainly articulated by Ramanuja, Madhva, Vallabha, and Chaitanya. However, when Dr. Puranima Dave talked about Radha Krishna, what she gave an important point when she says that Radha is at the left, she is at the left of Lord Krishna, saying that the wife is always at the left side. Here, what she has given us, the important thing is, which the later commentators on Nimbarka always say, that Radha is Swakiya and she is not Parakiya. So this particular point was explained by her in other words. And this Bhagwan is Ashesha Kalyan Gunaika Rashi. However, we all know that all the tenets of Swami Narayana are there in Vachanamruta. However, why this particular philosophy, though it is close to Vedanta, different Vedanta schools, why it is different? It is Akshara Purushottama Darshana. That is what she has pointed out. And I want to add to it that in Bhagavad Gita also we can find its roots. As Lord says, Dvavimo Purusho Lokekshara Chakshara Eva Chakshara Sarvani Bhutani Kutasto Akshar Uchate Uttama Purushatwana Paramatmeti Udavruta, etc. Yasmat Aksharate Tituham, etc., etc. So there also we find the fountain source of Swami Narayana, and she talked about the Ekantika Dharma of Swami Narayana, which is amalgamation of all that is needed for a theistic philosophy, right from Jnana up to realization, Dharma, Jnana, Atma, Paramatma, Vairagya, and Bhakti. And her paper was not only full of philosophical tenets, but it was all in a lucid language, which students can also understand. And the last one was of Dr. Sriram Iyer about the Krishna Bhakti of Sri Madhusudan Saraswati with special reference to Bhagavad Bhakti Rasayanam. There was a blend of his scholarship and also the Madhurya which is produced out of Bhakti in his paper. So when he talks about Madhusudan Saraswati's philosophy about Rasa and Rasayana, we have to think of, and as you all know that in Taittiriya Upanishad, the Bhakti is always called as Rasa, and in Taittiriya Upanishad, it is not called as Rasa. In Taittiriya Upanishad, we find a characteristic of Brahman, and there it has been said, Raso vai saha, rasaim evayam labdva anandi bhavati, yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasah saha, anandam brahmano vidvan, nam bibheti kutasyana. So an enlightened man who realizes the bliss of Brahman is not afraid of anything. This rasa actually is about the Lord, about the Krishna. But Madhusudan Saraswati is a sannyasi. And even if he is a sannyasi, as Sriramji has mentioned that he follows Advaita, even if he is Advaitin and a sannyasi, he is attracted to Bhakti, and he admits Advaita Vithi Patikai Rupasyaha Swarajya Sinha Sanalabdha Dikshaha Sathena Kenapi Vayam Hatena Dasi Kruta Gopa Vadhu Vitena. And then he tells about the mind, which is he tells us about the characteristic of bhakti, that is dravavastham praptasya chittasya vrittihi, etc. And there we have to remember, and that also Sriram has told that only chitta dhruti won't help, because it is not enough for bhakti. As in kama, krodha, lobha also, there is chitta can melt. But if there is foundation of Lord, adhisthana of Lord, then all these endeavors of human person won't go futile. And everything, that ahaituki bhakti, he has, in a way, he has explained to us. And in Bhagavata Purana, it has been said, Yogastrayo maya proktaha nrunam shreyo vidhitsaya jnanam karma cha bhaktischa nopayonyosti kutasyana. But he has also told about the fifth purushartha, and that was a unique point in his paper. And when he has said that karma yoga is only for chitta shuddhi, Shankaracharya also says chitta sa shuddhaye karma, etc. Then about different stages he has told, and in the last he has said about the aesthetics, that is rasa, that is rati. Then he was telling about mrudu tivra, madhya tivra, tivra tivra, and I remembered a sutra of Patanjali where the samvega also, for samvega also, these particular terms are used, and there you can go on comparing them. I think so. And it is actually Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, he always says, Tesham satatayuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. We think that with this we should also get this buddhi yoga, by which it is not only jnana marga, by which we turn to bhakti, which is the theme of this international conference. And I thank everyone for giving me the opportunity, including Shakuntala Gavde and others. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, madam. I thank and congratulate all the participants for their scholarly contribution. I thank you, Dr. Kala Acharya ji, for your valuable remarks. Now, I request Dr. Suchitra Tajane to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you. It is an honor to have been asked to offer a vote of thanks on the occasion of the international conference in our Department of Sanskrit. On behalf of my department and the entire association group here, I want to thank the respected chairperson, Dr. Kala Acharya, who gave her vital time for his busy schedule to grace this meeting. All the participants of this meeting are inspired by your highly sparkling words and valuable remarks. Thank you, Madam. I must remark a proficient sense of gratefulness to all of our speakers, Dr. Prasad, Dr. Madhavi Narsale, Dr. Puranima Dave, and Dr. Sriram. Sharing with us some of the finest practices, I want to thank all the speakers for adorning their necessary work and sharing with us graceful opinion. I take this opportunity to thank the entire committee as well as the audience for presenting their valuable views. We have been fortunate to have a renowned identity from academics, industry, and other areas. I am very thankful to the entire participants as well as collaborators of this meeting. I am sure that our Department of Sanskrit will continue to get significant provision from diverse groups in the future. There is much varying on the vote of thanks or to express my emotions that correctly fits the atmosphere. So I show appreciation to the people who have been the strength of this association with conference. Once again, I would like to state that we are glad to all the speakers here over the meeting. I thank you all for being with us and gracing this occasion. Soon we will meet for the valedictory function at 2 p.m. Once again, thank you. For any further announcement, over to you, Shakuntala Madam.
Thank you, Madam. There is an announcement, and the chief guest speaker is His Highness Tridandi Chinna G.R. Swami. And there will be a special lecture at 3:20 p.m. by Ithemor Theodore, Associate Professor of Hindu Studies at Zefat Academic College, Israel, on the topic Constructing the Aesthetic Self of the Bhagavata Purana. So guys, we will be back. We will meet here again sharp at 2 p.m. Dhanyawad.